fan of the team.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey.
Isn't it about time for somebody's favorite radio program?
Yeah. 97.3 ESPN presents The Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
When I'm driving, I got a guy on the radio who talks to me. I can't see him, but he talks to me.
Now, live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio, here's Mike Gill.
Sports Bash starts now. 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, streaming live video on the X platform, at Mike Gill Show, YouTube, at Mike Gill Show. What's up, everybody? So we've got so much happening in the world of sports right now. If you stayed up late, you saw the Flyers cough up a 2-0 lead in overtime on a night where Matvei Michkov scores his first 2 goals, 2 power play goals. What's going on? Flyers are scoring power play goals, and yet they figure out a way to lose that game last night, 4-3 in overtime. You heard it right here on 97.3 ESPN. You had the Phillies press conferences yesterday. Have a lot of Phillies thoughts still kind of like circulating. We'll read off a lot of the messages on our social media sites. Rob Thompson is back. We didn't get a big chance to talk a whole heck of a lot about it yesterday, but Rob Thompson will be back, and I've been reading the messages. Is this something that you're excited about? Is this something that you think is a total mistake? Where do you stand on Rob Thompson returning to the Phillies? And then, of course, the Eagles getting ready for the Giants. Nick Sirianni spoke today, and it was kind of an uneventful press conference. It was kind of uneventful. I think the Nick Sirianni lashing out on the fans may have passed him a little bit. We'll see for how long. What do the Eagles look like on Sunday? I think that's a big factor in all this. And I think that's an interesting place to start. You know, the Eagles beat the Browns on Sunday, and I will be the first to tell you I agree. It was not an impressive, aesthetically pleasing victory. But should that matter? In the world of sports today, I hear fans all the time say it's a week-to-week league. And I wonder if anybody even knows what the hell they're even talking about when they say that. Because I'll hear fans say it's a week-to-week league, and then yet the same people complain when you don't win the game as aesthetically pleasing as you might like. So how can it be a week-to-week league, and then you be angry that the aesthetics of the victory were not pleasing enough for you? Is a win a win? Does a win matter, or is it the quality of opponent that matters more? Where are we in the sports landscape, especially the NFL? The NFL seems to be the one where we all acknowledge and know it's a week-to-week league. We all know, man, I didn't see that happening at the beginning of the year. There's always one team that goes from last place to first place, and we never really see it coming. This year, we can say, man, I just can't see this team going from last to first. It was hard to really visualize a team that was going to start the year in last place or end the year last year in last place and then go to first place this year. And right now, you have one of those teams. It's Washington, the Commanders. Do you believe that the Commanders can be the team that goes from worst to first? Because right now, they're really the only one. In the NFC East, you have Washington. They're in first place. In the NFC North, no one, I guess Minnesota. Did they finish in last place, or did Chicago finish in last place last year? I think Chicago was 7-10. Minnesota may have been in last place last year. So that might be 2 teams that go from worst to first. In the AFC East, the Patriots are not winning that division. In the North, all 4 teams were really good last year. Cincinnati was the one that finished in last year. And you're like, can Cincinnati do it? Yeah, you can kind of see Cincinnati, but it doesn't feel like they're there right now. Last year, it was Houston that went from worst to first. I don't think that anybody else is beating Houston in that division. So right now in the NFC East, you have Washington. Who was the last place team in the North?
They were both 7-10, the Vikings and Bears. The Bears technically were in last because of the tie.
All right, so one of those two teams, if they win the division, would have gone from last to first, or however you
The
want to look at
Vikings
it.
would qualify. And
But it is clearly Washington. They were a 4-win team last year, and here they are in first place right now. So we all, as fans, acknowledge it is a week-to-week league. We see so many things that happen over the course of a season that we're like, I never saw that happening. And yet on a Sunday, our team always seems to make us go crazy when they don't win the way that we want them. When our team doesn't do what we anticipated. All right, they played the Browns, and the Browns are not as good as we thought. And the reason the Browns aren't as good as they thought is basically their quarterback stinks. They really have a good defense. The Browns have a good defense. And that's why that game was a little bit of a struggle. But I will be the first to tell you, I think this offense has some problems that we need to get into. This offense has some issues that I'm not sure that they are able to get by until they make some big-time philosophical changes. And what do I mean by that? For me, the Philadelphia Eagles offense problem is they have misidentified who they are. They have misidentified what they should be. And they have misidentified the star of this offense. The star of this offense is not A.J. Brown. The star of this offense is not Devontae Smith, and it is not Saquon Barkley. The offensive line is the star of the Philadelphia Eagles, and they have failed at identifying that. You know, the Eagles went to the playoffs in 2022 with a team that had no business going to the playoffs. Why? Because at 2-5, they identified who the real star of that offense was. You know, early in the year, they said, let's put it in Jalen Hurts' hands. And Jalen Hurts was not good enough to be the star of that offense. So they simplified things and said, you know what? Let's run the ball behind this offensive line. And I'm not saying pound my chest, yell at the cloud, 1995, run the ball. I'm saying we have this offensive line that's really good. Let's make them the star of this team. You know, the Eagles have something, along with the Detroit Lions and not many other teams in this league. They have something that other teams don't have. Their offensive line is equipped to be the star of their team. And what the Detroit Lions are doing right now is they are identifying that their offensive line is the star, not Amon-Ra St. Brown, not Jamison Williams, not David Montgomery, not Gibbs, not Goff. The offensive line, that's their star. And what they are doing is they are letting their star, the offensive line, beat the crap out of defensive lines and wear them down so that when they need a big play late in the game, their offensive line is beaten and whipped. And now I have more time to throw, I have more guys open, and I have more things that I can unlock in my offense because I have utilized the star of my team, the offensive line. And that's why Detroit's got guys running open all over the place. Now, listen, they have good play design, good play calling, but a lot of this is predicated on the fact that David Montgomery averages almost 5 yards a carry and Jahmyr Gibbs averages 5.3 yards a carry. Their offensive line is just kicking the bleep out of teams. And then when I have to throw the ball down the field, I have a lot more options. Jamison Williams averages almost 23 yards a catch. Amon-Ra St. Brown is not this big play guy. They're just giving him the ball in space and letting him make people miss. The Eagles' offense is missing the mark. The Eagles' offense is missing the mark of who they should be and what would make this offense unlock. And it is saying it's not Hurts, it's not Brown, it's not Smith, it's not Barkley. You know what would make those guys even bigger stars? Is if they identified who the real star of this team is, the offensive line. Now, the problem with that is Jordan Mailata is now out. You played a game without Lane Johnson. So totally understanding that your offensive line is not where it should be. But that doesn't mean that this team cannot simplify some things and get back to that where they were a couple of years ago. Now, this team is way more talented than they did in 2022, which was Hurts's first year as the starter. They went 9-8. They had Smith was a rookie. They didn't have Brown, but they had a lot of the same offensive linemen. You had Mailata, you had Lane Johnson, right? Dickerson now is better than what you had then. Juergens, obviously, you don't know where he is stacked up against Kelsey. Mekhi Becton has been very good. You've got a really solid offensive line. Let that line demoralize defensive fronts so that later on in the game, when you want to take your shot down the field or you want to throw the ball, that offensive line is beaten and whipped and beaten, man. You watch what Detroit did in that game against the Cowboys. It's comical to think back to what they were doing. The poor Cowboys, I mean, they got beaten into such submission, you almost felt bad for Dallas because it was such a humiliating output for them. But Detroit, I mean, my gosh, they made it look so easy because their offensive line is just so equipped. That first drive, they go right down the field and score a touchdown. They come right out, and they do what Philly doesn't do. Montgomery, 5 yards. Montgomery, right tackle, 7 yards. Montgomery, 16 yards. Bang, bang, bang. They get the 5-yard run. They throw a pass to Patrick. And then they run it 2 more times. They basically beat them into submission the next time they had the ball. Montgomery, Gibbs again. I mean, can you imagine the Eagles just running down the field, beating up on defensive lines, and then on a third down, bang, there you go, shotgun, short middle pass, first down. It's just such a more fluid offense because they have identified who their star is. Can the Eagles identify that? 609-403-0973. 609-403-0973. It's a Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. Colin LBI checks in on the text board and says, I think you should always be grateful for a win in the NFL, but you have to be logical in scouting your team week to week and compare it to the big picture to other teams in the league. Yeah, I agree with that. You know, you have to be realistic of who you are. So the question is now, okay? We watch this Eagles team through 5 games now. They are 3-2. Are we watching this team, and do we already have the identity of this team? Have we already made our final thought on what this team's ceiling is? In other words, are we watching this team and saying, they're not on the level of Detroit, they're not on the level of San Francisco, they're not on the level of Minnesota, they're not on the level of Washington? Have we already kind of found their spot in the pecking order? Do we think we're at that stage already with this season? Do we think we're at the point of the season where we have found their spot in the pecking order? So 5 games in is already a point in the season where we have made the decision on what this team is? Is that what we're saying? Or is there room for growth? Or are we past the point that we've seen room for growth with this team? 609-403-0973 on the text board. 609-403-0973. I think there's just so many things that, and listen, you hate to say, well, this happened or that happened, but there are reasons why things happen. It's hard to make a judgment on the Eagles' offense right now without Brown and Smith and Lane Johnson, and now you're not going to have Mailata. So it does cloud it a little bit. But guess what? With Brown and Smith and Barkley and this offense, they should score 20 points by accident. They should score 20 points by accident. Not grind out 20 points, by accident. And it is frustrating that this team is this clunky offensively still. And I go back to yesterday's show, that tweet from Kurt Warner. in which he said, this is the third coordinator now, and the pass concepts look the same. And I wonder, listen, is Jalen Hurts a problem? I think we have to start getting it in our heads that, yes, Jalen Hurts is part of this. And I say this, okay? I think teams have figured out what he doesn't do well, and they are trying to force him into that. And he doesn't want to do that. And he is only trying to do what he does well. You know, I liken it to a basketball player who scores 25 points a game by going to his right. And then a team says, this guy only goes right, make him go left. And he can't go left. So he just keeps trying to go right. And he might be able to go right and still score 18 a game, but he's not getting the 25 he used to. And it's harder to get those 18 than it was before. When somebody scouts you and starts to take away what you do well away, can you evolve your game? Hurts seemingly likes to go to the outside of the field, and he doesn't like to use the middle of the field. But when he uses the middle of the field, there's success. But yet, he's so stubborn, it's like, well, people don't think I can do this, so I'm going to prove I can. Instead of saying, you know what? I don't care how we get it done. I just want to win the game. And that goes back to the aesthetics of things. The quarterback is now, it seems, getting caught up in the aesthetics of you're saying that I can't do it, so I'm going to do it. You know, that last play of the game, he throws that pass, and apparently it's his audible. And he's saying, hey, I completed the pass. How come no one's patting me on the back? Because it's a low percentage play and a big picture play that doesn't work against a better football team. So that is the big thing here. We're at a crossroads of, have we already made our, assertion on what this team is? Do we see growth? Is there a window of opportunity for this team to get better, or is this who they are? Now, I'm going to pass judgment on the offensive side a little bit later on in the season because of the injuries. But what I see offensively, this isn't getting it done. This is not getting it done. This offense right now, the way we have seen this team play offense weeks 1 through 6, and I know they had a nice opening night and you felt like, okay, and then the injuries kind of ravaged them. But unless they evolve from this offense to something more, this offense is not good enough. It's not good enough for a couple reasons. Their defense isn't good enough. That's a whole nother conversation. Their defense is not good enough, and they know that. The Eagles know that. But I guess I ask this question to you guys out there. Can their defense evolve and get better, or have we already made the decision on who their defense is? So there's where we start today, 609-403-0973.
So you put a lot out there. So if you don't mind, can I backtrack a minute to ask you a question about something you said a few minutes ago, which is you talked about them not leaning on the offensive line and them needing to run the ball. Well, isn't part of the problem with the Eagles less about the players and more about this organization wanting them to throw the ball? Remember, it's John McMullen and Jeff Mosher both brought up to you, Mike, how Jeffrey Lurie was mad when they ran the ball with Jordan Howard in 2019 on Thursday Night Football in Green Bay. So isn't part of the problem that you're expressing about the offense an issue that comes from the top?
Could be. I mean, yes, if that's the case, is, hey, we want you to throw the ball. I don't care. You got to throw the ball. Then that's, of course, a problem.
But
I think a football coach in the heat of the battle, I don't know that he's thinking about that. I have a hard time thinking you've made it to that level, and in your mind, you're calling a game based on that. I think you are that competitive that if you say, you know what, I'm going to do it whether you fire me or not. If you don't like the way I've won this football, you don't like the way I've won this football game, then go ahead and fire me.
I mean, that's what they do with Doug Peterson, right? Part of the reason why Doug is not here is because...
Listen, when you're at that level, you can get another job. I mean, you don't think Kellen Moore would get hired by somebody to do something? If he goes against what he thinks he should be doing, these guys have too much moral principle.
But maybe they're hired because they are in line with what the organization
At
wants.
the time of the interview, sure, you can say, yeah, I listened to you. Then you're in the heat of the moment. I don't know anybody who has any competitive juices who can't handle, that says, I can't do what I really want to do on this play because 2 weeks ago they told me this. I mean,
Well, I think it's a literal 2 weeks ago thing or 2 months ago thing. I think it's more of a philosophy. Maybe the philosophy of these individuals is not seeing or understanding what you're expressing.
again, in the heat of a battle, you're going to call the play that you think is going to work. You're not going to call a play because the owner and you had a conversation when you had an interview that said, well, I'm going to call this play differently than I would. You're going to call what you want to call in that moment. I mean,
right. But what I'm saying is that maybe that's just who Kellen Moore is, or maybe that's just who fill in the blank is. Maybe they are just guys who don't value asserting your will and running the ball as maybe the Lions do.
well, and that's the big thing. Is this offense? See, I look at this offense and I do not see much different. I do not see much different about the route running. The run game principles are nowhere near different from what we've seen in the past. It's the same lousy run game. Barkley just happens to be really good, and the offensive line's really good, so he's hitting some holes and getting some creases.
Right. They
But
had
the run game's not different.
Right. They had 1,000-yard rushers with both Miles Sanders and DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, and it's this run game. I mean, it's the same run game. They're running this, read option run. It's nothing exciting. It's nothing different. They are not getting the most out of the talent that they have with their offensive line.
Right.
So their run game is you're not maximizing what you could be in the run game, and you're not maximizing what you could be in the pass game because of it. That's the problem.
Now, you mentioned about Jalen Hurts. And that was the other question I wanted to ask you, which is, we know that Jalen Hurts had the 2 best years of his career with Shane Steichen and Lincoln
But
Riley.
real quick on this.
Yeah.
The Eagles have run motion. This is from our buddy Jeff Kerr. The Eagles have run motion 41% of the plays. That's 23rd in the NFL. Last year, they ran motion 26%. That was last in the NFL.
Right.
The Chargers last year ran motion 60% of the time, 6th in the NFL. You telling me this is the same offense that Kellen Moore ran last year?
No, it's not. It only looked like the Kellen Moore offense in week 1 against Green Bay.
And in week 1, what happened?
They were explosive.
They scored 34 points in week 1. Since then,
they've regressed.
The most points they've scored in a game is 22.
Right.
21, excuse me. So they scored 21 in a loss against the Falcons.
And that brings us back to the Hurts question, which is, how did Hurts have 2 of his best years with these 2 individuals, but everyone else can't get that out of him?
I think it goes back to what I said at the beginning, is he was doing stuff that, okay, it's like everything. The Vic Fangio defense was really, really good. Then everybody starts copying it. And then what do offenses start doing? Okay, I've seen a lot of this defense. I'm now figuring out ways to go after that defense. So then you have to evolve. The Tampa 2 used to be big. Well, teams started to figure out the Tampa 2, so teams don't run it that much anymore. Everything's like that. So for a couple of years, I think Jalen Hurts, really for 1 year, 1.5, teams we're kind of saying, this is what he likes to do. This is what he likes to do. This is what he likes to do. And they're saying, that's what he likes to do. We're not going to let him do that. So now he's going to have to do something different. And he seems either incapable or unwilling to say, they're taking that away from me, so I'm going to do something different.
And that's 2 different issues then. If you're incapable of solving, then
back to he's audibling out of plays that they're calling for him. We don't know what plays they're calling for him. So we're criticizing the play caller, but now, of course, the fan would say, well, then the coach needs to tell him he can't audible out. Well, it's not easy when a guy's making $250 million. Well, to say to the guy, you don't have autonomy of calling out of a play when you want to.
Then the follow-up question would be, we were told that Joe Hurts was so coachable. He is great. The coach has done all this stuff. Is that all a part?
Don't know. Mike Gill from the Press of Atlantic City, though, we'll talk to him about the NFC East, get his thoughts on Are we seeing the changing of the guard in the NFC East as the baseball playoffs continue? Mets, Dodgers tonight on 97.3 ESPN. Yankees win last night. We got all that. The Sixers open up the season 1 week from today. A week from today, the Sixers will start the season. But will they do it without two key players? We got all that coming up. Plus, Hugh Myers, you heard him filling in for Greeny today on 97.3 ESPN. He's going to join us at 3 o'clock. John McCullough tonight at 5:30 due to the Eagles' practice schedule. So we got all that coming up on the Sports Pass live on 97.3 ESPN.
You're listening to the Sports Cast with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app.
Mike Gill. My friend Rob Weber, key actor of the excited to welcome Steve Pongiovanni to his sales team. Steve has been selling cars in the area for many years. All his previous clients and new ones stop in the deal. Now, on October 31st, he can get you into a new 2025 Acura Integra for just $379 a month with $49.95 down. Visit him at Key Acura on Atlantic City, Silk Road, DHT. Online, KeyAcuraOfAtlanticCity.com. Dealer for details.
Halloween's coming alive at Target. Jackie and Gordy the Jack-o'-lantern stay with a front porch view of Target's Halloween deals, like 20% off costumes with Target Circle. We're talking rock stars, witches, princesses.
Ooh, I think I'd look good with a cape.
I think so too, Gordy. Plus, hit the trick-or-treat jackpot with 20% off candy.
Now that's how you get porch traffic.
This week only, save 20% on costumes with Target Circle and 20% off candy. Make your Halloween come alive at Target. Restrictions apply.
It's football season, and Uber Eats is dropping undefeated deals on all your game day favorites like Little Caesars. This week, buy one Ultimate Supreme and get an extra most bestest pepperoni pizza free from Little Caesars, only on Uber Eats. Craving even more? We've got you covered with game day deals on burgers, tacos, wings, and more all season long. Uber Eats, official on-demand food delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. Terms, taxes, and fees apply. See app for details.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win, breakaway, pick six, three-point shot, underdog win, buzzer beater, shootout, walk-off, and absolutely every play in between is amazing. From football to basketball and hockey to baseball, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in New Jersey.
Get in zone, AutoZone. Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
I think the battery's dead. With free battery testing and charging, we can help you get back on the road. So what if we need a new one? We have the right Duralast battery for you, only at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
And what about my old battery? We can recycle it right here at America's #1 battery destination.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Extravagant, luxurious, lavish. The $7 Lux Cravings Box from Taco Bell satisfies all your crunchiest, cheesy, sauciest cravings. Indulge in a beefy 5-layer burrito, chicken chalupa supreme, Doritos Locos Taco, and chips and a drink for an unluxurious price. It's Lux for less. Get yours today at Taco Bell. At participating Taco Bell stores for a limited time only while supplies last. Price and participation vary. Drinks excludes freezers. Tax extra.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code LOCAL to get an extra 35 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code LOCAL for a 35 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code LOCAL for a 35 cents per gallon bonus.
This season, get premium tech that inspires joy from Dell Technologies. Bring projects to life with the XPS 16. It delivers supercharged processing for enhanced productivity and freedom to express yourself. Performance class Dell PCs with Intel Core Ultra processors deliver a dedicated engine to help accelerate AI. Enjoy free shipping, Dell rewards, and expert support. When you get a Dell PC with AI, it gives back. Shop now at Dell.com/deals.
With GMF financing, the qualified buyers excludes Traverse and Corvette excludes prior sales.
Need a car, truck, or SUV? Great! Get to Bennett Chevy, where you're going to get Bennett's best offers ever. You know Bennett sells new Chevys at the true GM supplier employee price, right? Well, right now, Bennett Chevrolet says, how'd you like to buy your new Chevy and pay $500 below the GM supplier employee price? Yes, $500 less than our employees. Plus, you keep all the rebates. That's up to 15% off the sticker. And with available 0% financing, you'll have incredibly low payments. And if you've got an old car to trade, right now you'll get a minimum $10,000 towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. That's at least 10 grand for total junk. Imagine how much we'll pay for good trades. And wait till you experience Bennett's non-commissioned sales team. Paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. So they'll make getting all these unbelievable deals even better. Together, let's drive. Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
All right, 2:31 Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Streaming live video on the X platform at Mike Gill Show. Mike and Gary from the Press of Atlantic City going to join us in just a second. We got so much going on. Baseball playoffs, basketball set to start next week, opening night. Sixers open a week from tonight. Flyers pitched off like 2 goals last night in the first period on the power play, and they lose the game 4-3 out in Edmonton while you were sleeping. They're still on this West Coast swing in Seattle tomorrow night, and of course they'll have their home opener on Saturday. But the football is starting to get to a point, Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City, where we feel like we have a handle on who some of these teams are, or is that still not fair at this stage of the season?
You know, I guess it depends on the team. Do we have a handle on who the Kansas City Chiefs are? I believe we do. Do we have a handle on who the Baltimore Ravens are? I believe we do. Do we have a handle on who the Philadelphia Eagles are? I'm not so sure. Do we have a handle on anybody in the NFC East? I'm not so sure, other than the fact that the Giants are going to be a team that sort of is pesky, but in the end finishes with 5, 6, 7 wins. That's where I think we kind of stand there.
Do you find it interesting? You know, you've been covering sports a long time, and the fans will acknowledge in football, hey, this is a week-to-week league. Yet when the win isn't as aesthetically pleasing as you would like, there's a lot of criticism for the team, or that the win isn't as accepted as maybe the team is. Hey, we won a game in the NFL. That's really hard. And fans will say, I don't care, you beat the Cleveland Browns. That's not good enough. But in the same breath, they'll say it's a week-to-week league. Do you find that disconnect in the fan sports world is kind of an oddity?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the NFL, I agree with you that any win is a big win. And you can quibble with style points, which I definitely think is a reasonable approach. But at the end of the day, you know, you have to look at the team's overall record, and you go back to the famous Bill Parcells saying you are what your record says you are. So even if it's not style points, you're not happy with style points against the Cleveland Browns, you're not happy with style points against New Orleans Saints, it's better to be complaining about style points than complaining about a loss and style points, basically.
Yeah, well, I know. So Nick Sirianni spoke today, Mike. Is the antics from Sunday, are they behind him? He was not asked about it, I don't believe, today in the press conference. I don't have the full press conference transcript yet, but I don't remember hearing anybody really ask him anything about it. Is that behind him?
No, to me, his sideline behavior is not behind him. I really think he's kind of on the hot seat this season. It started with the hiring of the 2 new coordinators, and all of a sudden everybody's debating, well, what exactly does Nick Sirianni do here? And then his sideline antics kind of hurt him. Some of the questions, some of his answers to questions in post-game press conferences have not been too great. So, and with the way the team is played, I mean, they are 3-2, but they could easily have lost to the Cleveland Browns. They could have easily have lost to New Orleans Saints, and where would they be then? So, I just think his antics on the sideline just add to the sort of stew that is his job sort of security for this entire season. And I believe, he is on the hot seat for this season, depending on how the Eagles do.
Well, I don't know what is the level of success this team needs to achieve for him to come back? Because it all seems to be trending outside of winning the Super Bowl or maybe getting to the Super Bowl, that this just doesn't feel good for him.
Yeah, to me, you've got to be better than you were last season. So to me, you've got to win the division and you've got to win a game in the playoffs. Then I think you can say, hey, look, we bounced back from last year when we had a bad finish and went down to Tampa Bay and got beat. We came back this year. We won the division. We won a playoff game. And so we're headed back in the right direction. I think you've got to go take a step forward. If you take a step backwards, if you don't make the playoffs, if you don't win the division, if you go to the playoffs again and get wiped out in the first round of the playoffs that are home early, then I think he's really in a little bit of trouble. So to me, I'm not saying he's got to win the Super Bowl or get to an NFC title game, but I think he's got to win a division and win a playoff game.
All right, Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City. Yesterday, I'm pretty sure I heard you in the press conference yesterday with both Dave Dombrowski and Rob Thompson. The start of the press conference came with an announcement that Rob Thompson was returning, but also being extended. Thoughts on that? Surprised at all? Or were you, I don't know about the extension being something you thought was going to happen, but there were some people wondering, look, if you're not going to change the roster, could there be changes to the staff? Not only is there not changing to the manager, there's no changes to the staff.
Yeah, I was at the press conference, and I have a column up right now on pressofac.com, Must Win, saying why it's okay that the Phillies are standing basically pat in the offseason. I didn't have a problem with renewing or extending Rob Thompson for 1 year. You're basically taking him out of the lame duck status. Again, he's a guy that, depending on how the Phillies perform, next season could find himself on the hot seat. I was surprised considering how the Phillies played over the second half of the season and how they performed in the postseason that the entire coaching staff was back. There had been some speculation that with the way they hit, that maybe Kevin Long would be a guy who might be sacrificed, the hitting coach. So I was surprised that the entire coaching staff is back. And to me, they're kind of saying to Rob Thompson, okay, we're giving you this extra year. We're giving you all your coaches back. You better win next year, and next year better end better than this year ended, or maybe next offseason won't be as so status quo as this one might.
Well,
be.
Is the message that, hey, we're not blaming you for this. This was on the players.
Yeah, yes and no. And I believe, Dave Dombrowski said during the press conference that the way they performed down the stretch, he didn't want to put that all on one person. So there was probably plenty of play to go around. You had the players, right? You had the coaches and the manager probably wish he did something different. Dave Dombrowski's trades at the deadline, Carlos Estevez and Austin Hayes, did not really work out that great. So there was plenty of blame to go around. And I can see what Dombrowski is saying there, saying it's too much to just pick out one person and say, hey, you're the reason. You got to be the fall guy for the way we played in the second half of the season in the playoffs. So I don't have a problem with them bringing back the manager and the coaching staff. I think sometimes, as I wrote in the column, you've got to sort of balance the chaos and randomness of playoff baseball against, the results of 162 games. So I don't have a problem going into next season. Now, if next season unfolds like this season, then I think we're having a different conversation at this time of year. But I don't have a problem with Rob Thompson and his coaches coming back for next season.
Okay, Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City, pressofac.com. You wrote a column, Must Win, over about the extension. And also, Dave Dombrowski had a lot more to say. It sounds like they're going to stand back. And he said, hey, I think it was you that asked the question, what's this team missing? Well, I don't know that we're missing anything. We just didn't play well. Is that a good mentality to have going into an offseason?
It's not one that the fans are happy about, or even the media is happy about. You want somebody to sort of pay the price for losing the New York Mets. You want to see somebody pay the price for this team going 33-33 over the All-Star after the All-Star break. So I don't think it's a satisfying answer. In this case, I think it's a decent answer. I mean, you look at the core of this team; it's a good core. It's a core that probably deserves one more year together. And who are you going to trade? Who are you going to break up? Who's going to be the guy that you trade to sort of break up the core? And this is something that's happened. If you look at it, the Los Angeles Dodgers, this has happened to the Dodgers. If you look at the Yankees, it's happened to the Yankees. If you even look at the Mets right now, Mike, 2 years ago, the Mets won 100 games. Last year, they won 70-something games. They didn't make the playoffs. Now, tonight, they're in Game 3 of the National League Championship Series. They kept the core of the team. Lindor, Alonso, Nimmo, Marte, Diaz. They're all still there. So, just to break up the core for the sake of breaking up the core, I don't agree with. But again, I think after next season, we might be having a very different conversation if the Phillies in 2025 follow what they did in 2024.
Dombrowski said the infield's intact, which sounds like, Bohm, Stott, they're not going to be moved. They'll be back again. He mentioned Castellanos, Marsh. Is that a spot where they can make a big move, or do you think it's a Marsh Hayes? Did you get the feeling that Hayes is a guy they traded for, they liked, and he got hurt? If he didn't get hurt, things might be different, and that we're going to see a lot of the same in the outfield?
Yeah, absolutely. You hit it right there. He basically said the infield's intact. There was a lot of talk about JT Realmuto coming back. Kyle Schwarber's obviously the DH. You have Castellanos in right field. So the areas where he wasn't so committal were that left and center field spot, Johan Rojas and Brandon Marsh, Austin Hayes. So that is an area where, if they were going to improve the team, it's that left center field spot that would seem to be wide open and ripe for improvement. He did drop one other nugget during the press conference that I think people who want to see this team make changes are jumping on maybe a little too much. He did say sometimes you have to trade good players for good players, which would be, are you going to deal a Bohm? Are you going to deal a Castellanos? That would certainly be in that sort of situation there. But I don't know if that's going to happen. Look, I know Alec Bohm was terrible the last month of the season. I know he was terrible in the postseason, and he was benched in Game 2. But the guy drove in 97 runs this year and played a pretty good third base. Would you want to look up in July next year and see him playing for the Tampa Bay Rays and batting 300, leading the American League in RBI? So that's what I mean about just sort of not overreacting to the randomness and the chaos of the baseball postseason, and also not putting too much weight on 162 games. It's a balancing act here, and it's tough. It's a tough decision to make sometimes.
All right, Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City, pressofac.com. One area that I think can be looked at a little closer, Rob Thompson said lineup construction. This has been a debate for a while. You got the old schoolers who do not like Kyle Schwarber because he's not Ricky Henderson. And you have the other people that say, hey, they win with him as the leadoff. This was the first kind of admittance that maybe we might need to make a change. Is that the change? It's not a roster change or addition. It's a lineup change. What do you think about that, Mike McGarry?
Yeah, I can imagine all the traditionalists, all the old guys like me jumping out of their Barker lounges when Bob Thompson said, Kyle Schwarber might not be leading off anymore. And, it's an interesting discussion. I think it's part of, to me, I take that as saying that the Phillies are going to leave no stone unturned. They are going to look at everything to see if they can be a better offensive team. You look at Kyle Schwarber, I think he hit 16 first-inning home runs, so led off the game, led off to either the top of the first or the bottom of the first with 16 home runs this season. The Phillies won 14 of those games. Those are pretty compelling numbers. If you don't have Schwarber up there, do you put Bryson Stott up there? if you put Stott up there, he has to change his whole approach to hitting, which I think he should probably change based off his results this year. I think he's got to get back to more of a contact, use the entire field, which is something both Rob Thompson and Dombrowski said they want to see the whole team do. Do you put Trey Turner up there if he stops trying to get pull happy and maybe he can slap the ball the opposite way and use his speed? Do you put Bryce Harper up there? Ohtani bats leadoff. Why not Bryce Harper up at the leadoff spot there? So I think it's an interesting question. I took it to say, not we're going to move Schwarber out. To me, I took it to say, hey, we're going to leave no stone unturned in an effort to examine how we could be a better team this season.
By the way, I said last year, I think that, if you're going to do something and bring the same exact roster back, then you got to shake the lineup up a little bit. If you're going to bring the same roster that failed, you can't give me the same lineup that failed. I agree. Harper should be hitting leadoff and just flip Harper and Schwarber. See what happens with Schwarber hitting in the third spot. But somebody brought up an interesting point yesterday. Schwarber walked 120 times. That means Turner had a guy on base 120 times. Turner is a guy that they need more from as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was a guy that they talked about yesterday in the press conference, particular his.
I hated that answer, by the way.
Which was?
Oh, the shortstop. Is he your shortstop? And he makes it like, he's locked. I mean, to me, my team has failed, Mike. My team has failed 3 years. We will have to look. And if our best way to improve this team is to have to move him someplace else, then that's what we have to do. Anytime you're saying in October that the guy is at this position, no matter what, you are limiting your opportunity to improve.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would. The natural switch to me is Bryson Stott to shortstop and Turner to second base. Maybe you look around, you can put Turner in left field, maybe even center field. I would agree 110%. But yesterday they seemed to say, that he is going to be the shortstop going forward. And I think they talked an awful lot, Mike, about Dombrowski and Rob Thompson said about hitting gap to gap, not getting pull happy, using the entire field. And if the Phillies hitters did that, they'd stay on the ball longer. Maybe they wouldn't chase as much. To me, the number one offender of getting pull happy and chasing in the play this season was Trey Turner. So yeah, I think they need definitely a lot more from Trey Turner, because I'll tell you right now, he's got 9 years left on that contract. He has not been the player we all thought the Phillies were getting when they signed him 2 years ago. And he needs to get back to the guy that we all thought he would be. The guy who kind of, to me, I saw a guy, I thought he'd be stealing bases, hitting doubles, hitting the ball gap to gap, being a great fielder. He really hasn't been any of that.
I agree with that as well. Yeah, because, he has hit leadoff more than any other spot. Still, even after being here for 2 years, he still has more at-bats as a leadoff hitter than he does a number two hitter. Is he a guy that you can consider? The problem with that becomes then who hits number two, because your logical guys all hit left-handed. If you want to hit Harper 2, Schwarber 3, Stott 2, then you have the lefty situation. But that will be something to keep an eye on. Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City, pressofac.com. A lot of stuff this offseason, I'm sure. Friday we'll look closer at the Eagles and the Giants and the Mets tonight. And, of course, you can listen to the game right here on 97.3 ESPN. All right, Mike, we'll talk to you Friday.
All right, we'll see you down the road. Thank you.
All right, there's Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City, pressofac.com here on the Sports Bash. Coming up at 3 o'clock, you heard him filling in today. He's going to join me at 3, and then we have football at 4, my Fine 5, Ugly 5. John McMullen tonight at 5:30 on the Sports Bash live on 97.3 ESPN.
This is South Jersey's official home for Philadelphia Eagles football. The Eagles continue the 2024 season this Sunday in New Jersey against their NFC East rival Giants.
He's going to go!
This is where all the action with pregame coverage starting at noon and kickoff at 1 p.m. This is the play-by-play home of the Philadelphia Eagles, 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's Eagles station.
97.3 ESPN has teamed up with Seize the Deal for incredible weekly offers from some fantastic local restaurants. Here's this week's big deal.
Get a $50 gift card, good for use at the Ravioli House in Wildwood for just $25.
Get this great deal starting Friday at 9 a.m. at seizethedeal.com. Hurry, chances are this deal will sell quickly. For more info on this great deal, go to seizethedeal.com.
seizethedeal.com.
The time for holiday hosting is upon us, so make your second bathroom second to none with HomeDepot.com's best savings of the season. Right now, enjoy up to 40% off select online bath. Find the latest on-trend styles of vanities, faucets, showers, tubs, toilets, and more, all at prices that will let your budget relax right along with you and your beautifully renovated bath. Get up to 40% off select online bath plus free delivery at the Home Depot. Subject to availability, see HomeDepot.com/delivery for details.
Xfinity here. How can we help?
Hi. My daughter invited her entire class to her birthday party. Can my Wi-Fi handle it?
Oh, well, at Xfinity, our latest gateways have tri-band Wi-Fi technology, letting you connect hundreds of devices at once.
No way. So if all the kids are watching stuff on their phones while their parents are sharing videos online.
Yep, go ahead and watch videos. They can all do their thing and party their way. No problem.
Oh, we are going to need a bigger cake.
Now through November 12th, get fast, reliable 300 megabit Xfinity internet for just $30 a month for 12 months with no annual contract and unlimited data included. Visit Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Xfinity, bring on the good stuff. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless plan and auto-pay with stored bank account. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply. Currently $90 a month. Actual speeds vary.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? I think my battery's dead. With free battery testing and charging, we can help you get back on the road.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
So what if I need a new one? We have the right Duralast battery for you, only at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
And what about my old battery? We can recycle it right here at America's #1 battery destination.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Is reviewing life insurance on your to-do list? Now's the perfect time to add it. A friend recently told me that securing life insurance sooner rather than later can help you lock in lower rates for years to come. So I bumped this up on my list and got it done. I called Select Quote and couldn't believe how easy and affordable life insurance is. I'm 40 and got a $500,000 policy for $16 a month. My husband's also 40 and his $500,000 policy was only $18 a month. Plus, with Select Quote's same-day coverage, there was no medical exam required and we were covered by the time we hung up. Knowing I have this checked off my list feels amazing, but the peace of mind knowing my family is protected feels even better.
Call Select Quote 1-800-670-5151. That's 1-800-670-5151. Or go to SelectQuote.com to get your free quote today. 1-800-670-5151. Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com.
When you're hiring for your business, ZipRecruiter's powerful matching technology makes finding qualified candidates for your job easy. This made us wonder, what if the rest of the world was as easy as ZipRecruiter? Math problems wouldn't be so problematic.
K equals 42.
Escape rooms? Elementary. And summiting Everest would be a walk in the park. In the meantime, if you want to make your hiring easier, use ZipRecruiter. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Simple. So, see what the world is like when ZipRecruiter does the hard work of hiring for you. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Kids, work, running errands, sitting in traffic. Life is busy. Shore Physicians Group wants you to take time for your health. Shore Physicians Group offers the highest level of quality, compassionate care close to home with convenient locations in Margate, Marmora, Mays Landing, Northfield, Ocean City, and Summers Point. Life is busy. Take time for your health. Visit shorephysiciansgroup.com and make your appointment today.
Shore Physicians Group. Be well connected.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill
And I am the voice
of the voiceless.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
All right, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, streaming live video on the X platform, at Mike Gill Show, YouTube, at Mike Gill Show. Subscribe and follow. I want to tell you about my friend Rocco over at Key Acura of Atlantic City. He's welcoming a new sales member to his sales team, Steve Bongiovanni. He's been selling cars in this area for many years and would like to invite all of his previous clients and any new ones out there to stop in and see him now through the end of the month. He can get you in a 2025 Acura Integra for $379 a month with $49.95 down. Just visit him at Key Acura of Atlantic City, Tilton Road, Egg Harbor Township, online at keyacuraofatlanticcity.com. See dealer for details. Hey, when we come back, we're going to get a national perspective on the NFC East, Nick Sirianni, the Eagles, and more with Q Myers from Game Night on 97.3 ESPN right here on the Sports Bash.
The playoffs continue on ESPN Radio.
It's a grand slam, Mark Vientos.
After getting blown out of Game 1, the Mets respond with a huge Game 2 win. Now the series shifts to New York for Games 3, 4, and 5. Game 3 of the Dodgers and Mets. Coverage begins today at 7:30 Eastern, with first pitch at 8 Eastern.
It's the NLCS. Dodgers, Mets, Game 3.
Brought to you by Shore Physicians Group. Be well connected. Visit shorephysiciansgroup.com.
It's the time of year for killer deals. You've had your eye on some hot new wheels. We want to pay off your loan or lease and tell your old car to rust in peace.
Get to Matt Black Kia today. Buried in a loan or lease? Matt Black Kia wants to get you released. Then treat yourself to 0 down, 0 payments until next year. Even 0% up to 72 months on every clearly marked new Matt Black Kia in stock. You won't need a costume to get a brand new Matt Black Kia Forte LXS under 20 grand. That's right, a brand new Kia, just $19,999 with any trade. That's less than most used vehicles.
It's gotta be a Matt Black Kia.
Bulletproof credit 24 EV9 and 6, $1388 per thousand. Not all will qualify. Credit may affect down payment. Offers can't be combined. Go to mattblackkianj.com for complete details or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer except for licensing, registration, and taxes through KMF. Rebates and incentives to dealer. Expires 10/31/24. Matt Black Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and on Route 37 in Toms River.
With fall savings at the Home Depot, you can get up to $1,600 off select appliances from top brands like GE Profile. Save space and time with the new combo washer and dryer and do it all in one machine. And with Smart Dispense technology, the right amount of detergent is automatically added to every wash. Laundry day is a whole lot smarter with the GE Profile Ultra Fast Combo with Smart Dispense only at the Home Depot. Right now, save up to $1,600 and financing on select appliances with fall savings at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Pricing about September 26th through October 16th. U.S. only. See store online for details.
Go to get your game on at the Gallery Bar Book and Games at Ocean Casino Resort. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Get in on the parlay while in the middle of a party. Go for the sports scene and go for the endless screens. Go to the Gallery. Go to the Fanatic Sportsbook. Go for the win at Ocean Casino Resort. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
It's better over here.
If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has an exclusive rate plan just for you. Right now, get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings versus Verizon and AT&T. Plus, you can get one of the latest 5G phones free when you add a line. That's right, a free 5G phone. Experience all this and more on America's largest 5G network. So why wait? At T-Mobile, customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Just go to T-Mobile.com/choice55 or visit your local store to make the switch.
With AutoPay using debit or bank account plus taxes and fees, 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. Free phones up to $300 off with 24 monthly bill credits and qualifying new line for well-qualified customers plus tax and $35 device connection charge. Contact us before canceling entire account to continue remaining bill credits. Bill credits end if you pay off device early. See details at T-Mobile.com.
Something good to know from First Bank of Sea Isle City. We have all of today's innovative banking products just like the big banks, but we offer something they can't. A personal community focus. Let's get you started with Bill Pay. You save time when you pay your bills online. It's fast, easy, and convenient. First Bank of Sea Isle City, a community bank that delivers more for you every day. Personal service, today's technology, from the people who truly care. Learn more at firstbankseaisle.com.
Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Our new KFC 3-piece original recipe tenders, fries, and comeback sauce are just $5. A deal so tasty, our competitors might consider switching sides.
So no one will recognize me if I say how much I love your 11 herbs and spices.
Nope, I added a filter to your voice.
Sounds like it's only on your voice.
No, it's on your voice. Wait.
Let the chicken tender battles begin. Try the new 3-piece original recipe tenders, fries, and comeback sauce for $5. Only at KFC. It's finger-licking good. Prices and participation may vary. Taxes, tips, and fees extra.
Is your home ready for the season? Worried about rooms that just won't stay warm this winter? Call Jenkins Plumbing and Heating today to ask about a new energy-efficient system from American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning or a Mitsubishi Douglas system with generous financing options through South Jersey Gas or Atlantic City Electric, plus additional savings through rebates from your local utility companies. Upgrading your system could also help lower your utility bills. Call Jenkins today or visit jenkinsandsons.com.
Home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They've got him. It's a sack.
Sixers.
Oh, baby.
And Flyers.
He scored!
97.3 ESPN. WENJ. WENJ HD. Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Now live. The Ocean Casino Resort Studio. Here's Mike.
Live ESPN free mobile app and streaming live video on the X platform at Mike Gill Show on YouTube at Mike Gill Show. And of course, you hear him weeknights right here on 97.3 ESPN, 10 to 1. It's Hugh Myers. You heard him in the midday today, filling in for Greeny. He's been filling in a lot for Greeny. I bet you Greeny would like to be talking a little bit about what you guys have been talking about. And Q, as we get ready for week number 7 in the NFL, the stink of week number 6 doesn't seem to go away for some of these teams. So I'll welcome you in with some thoughts on, hey, the Eagles won on Sunday. We want to get a kind of a national feel of that win and what happened afterwards. Is it that the Eagles won the game people should be looking at, Q, or are you guys looking at the Eagles winning that game secondary and what happened after that game first?
You know, the thing that we really focus in on when it comes to the Eagles, unfortunately, yeah, they win the game. That's great. That's what it's all about, is winning the games. But our focus is on Nick Sirianni. And what feels to me like, Mike, that every single game he's coaching for his job, right? And it feels like, especially with the crowd giving him the business, fire Nick, and then also he fires back at them and he's talking and barking at them. It just seems like there's the main thing is not the main thing. Jalen Hurts says it all the time, right? Make the main thing the main thing. For Nick Sirianni, it feels like the main thing, which is the team winning games, being successful, winning the NFC East instead of letting a team like the Washington Commanders, who are still young and on the rise, take control of that division. It feels like there's so many other storylines and so many branches to this one base of a tree, and it shouldn't be like that. And with Nick Sirianni barking at the crowd, that's one thing. So he's going to be asked about it. Then he shows up at the with his kids. I'm like, come on, man! Like, you can't do that, man. That's a human shield right there with the kids. No one's going to sit there and ask you about your job security with your 3 kids there. It's almost, it was really bad, poor timing for Nick Sirianni to go through that range of emotions and what he did. And then comes out and says that, he apologizes, needs to focus. And everything he said as an apology to the fans, it sounded like he was in a conversation with someone in the ownership office that said, hey, man, look, that's not what you're supposed to do. It felt like when I would get in trouble back in school and I was in the principal's office, and after I had a stern talking to, I went back to the teacher and apologized for everything I did wrong. Even though in my heart I was like, man, I'm going to do what I'm going to do anyway.
Well,
but
I want to get your thoughts on, the backing that he is getting. I mean, guys like Jason Kelsey, your network, who has said this is big. A lot of the players, Brandon Graham, a leader in that, they said, no, we want this. Do you believe that when they say, no, this is what we want, this is the guy we need kind of leading this team forward? Do you believe that?
I mean, it's funny. I do believe it only because when I see him barking at the crowd and I see guys on the sideline with a big smile on their face and laughing, it's almost like, hey, Nick is being Nick. That's just kind of what he does. But, Mike, that's also what we used to do with class clowns. I know that because I was a class clown, right? I was the guy that was in the back of the room being disruptive, and everyone wanted me to be funny. Everyone wanted me to talk, but also everyone did not want me to disrupt the class. But it was also funny. You know what I mean? Like, it's a fine line, and he's a disruptive dude in the class right now. He doesn't need to do that. He needs to focus on this offense with the Eagles that still seems to be at a disconnect between Kellen Moore, Jalen Hurts. What's going wrong there? Yes, they're winning games and they've won games, and that's great, but it just seems like something's still off. That relationship needs to be repaired before he starts worrying about what the fans are chanting, because Mike, when you start worrying about the fans, you'll become a fan.
Yeah, I know. It's a weird relationship, so I want to get your thoughts on this.
Yeah.
Q Myers is with us here, host of Game Night 10 to 1 on 97.3 ESPN weeknights. You can hear him right here. And Q, one of the things that I find to be a weird dynamic here, Sirianni says after the game, it's tough to win in this league. And I think we all agree with that, right? The people like us who cover this league, like we've kind of gotten past you only beat the Browns. But here's the problem. He's saying it's tough to win in this league. The fans are looking at the Browns and saying, don't care that you beat the Browns, didn't beat them good enough. And then that's where the disconnect comes in. He's saying, I just won an NFL game. Like, what are you giving me grief for? And the fans are saying, don't care that you won. That opponent doesn't impress me enough. And I wonder if, this is the beginning of this disconnect that we're going to see more of, or is this solely a Sirianni and his personality that it just kind of came bubbling over?
I think that his personality just came bubbling over, and that's just kind of who he is. Clearly, there's a disconnect, though, right? And I'm with you 100%. We know it is hard to win in the National Football League. Anytime you can get a W on Sunday, Monday, or Thursday, that's fantastic. I don't really care how you do it, but I understand where the fans are coming from the long run, right? I mean, okay, yeah, you won against the Cleveland Browns, but if you can't clean up what's going on, what's ailing you, then there's going to be problems moving forward when you do play against a better team. That's the big issue. And, I'm a big Jalen Hurts supporter, always have been. You know that ever since he was at Bama, then Oklahoma, and now with Philadelphia. I'm glad he's in the position he's in, but I still don't think that he's being used correctly, or he's, doing what he needs to do as that alpha leader of that Eagles offense. I still think there's a lot that could be, tapped into his talent and his skill set that's not being worked right now. I don't know if that's a Kellen Moore thing. I don't know if that's a Nick Sirianni thing. Hell, I don't know if that's a Shane Steichen, who's now in Indianapolis, thing, when he was in Philadelphia and he was able to open up and unleash who Jalen Hurts could be. But I think he needs to be better. The team needs to be better. Nick Sirianni and Kellen Moore definitely need to be better.
All right, I'm glad you brought that up. Q Myers, let's get into the Eagles offense. They got A.J. Brown. They got Devontae Smith. They got this offensive line. They got Saquon Barkley. They got Jalen Hurts. And yet we're talking about, as you guys discussed at length today, a constipated offense. Lane Johnson's words. He's there. He understands it.
Yep.
Kurt Warner put out a tweet or X or post or whatever we're calling it these days. But on social media, Kurt Warner asked the question. 3 different coordinators, but the pass concepts look the same. Kurt said, this does not look like Kellen Moore. He's now wondering, is this a Jalen Hurts problem? Is Hurts the issue, not the coordinators?
Yeah, and that's a great quote by Lane Johnson, a constipated offense. I had so many fun little statements.
We heard you.
That was fantastic. I had never heard it described like that, but it made all the sense in the world. And I do think it's a Kellen Moore thing to a certain extent, right? And this is what I mean by that. He was the hot and shot up and coming guy when he was in Dallas, right? They had this offense that was incredible, putting up a bunch of points.
Just to let the listeners in, you were in the Dallas market when Kellen was the offensive coordinator there, so you could speak a little bit more to this.
Yeah, exactly. And he was the guy that everyone knew that Jerry was going to make him the head coach at some point. He was going to replace Jason Garrett. Well, obviously that didn't happen. Mike McCarthy goes in there, but he keeps Kellen Moore because Jerry said so. Then, it runs its course, and Kellen Moore's gone. He's out. All right, well, then he goes to the Chargers, and he's supposed to fix Justin Herbert, and he's supposed to open up the offense, and a lot of champagne wishes were rolled out. And look, I'm on the West Coast now. I'm here in Las Vegas, right? I cover the Raiders. I cover the AFC West, so I was really curious what it was going to look like with the Chargers, and it didn't look any better. Now he's in Philly, and the first thing I said is, he probably could open up things for Jalen Hurts again, get him back to where he was when he was with Shane Steichen and was in the conversation for a potential MVP when the Eagles go to the Super Bowl. But it just seems like that hasn't come to fruition either. So I don't know if the shine is running off of Kellen Moore a little bit. But with that being said, I think Jalen Hurts plays a role in this, right? I don't think it's just exclusive to one guy. I think that'd be unfair to say that. I don't think that Jalen Hurts wants to do what makes him special. I had a buddy in North Carolina, PE in North Carolina, always told me, never lose what makes you special. What makes Jalen Hurts special is he has the ability to throw the ball all over the yard whenever he wants to. He also is built like Josh Allen type, where he can run that rock whenever he wants to. He can run up the middle of the field. He's not Lamar. He's not Jaden Daniels. He's not built like that, where if he gets hit, he's going to be hitting out the club. He can take a hit. I'm not saying go out there and just put your body at risk, but he can do dynamic things that every quarterback can't do. And it seems like right now he's not doing what makes him special. So I think that there's an issue there with Jalen Hurts. I think there's an issue with Kellen Moore. And when you combine the two issues, you get mediocre offensive play.
Yeah, one of the things is, like, this is an offense that has weapons everywhere, Q, and we keep wondering why. Why only 20 points? Why can't they get this done? And then you look at, what the offense does. They just try to do, like, just win baby Raiders, man. It feels like they got to, push it down the field, and that's all they want to do. Nothing short, quick. Let your playmakers make plays. I said, man, in a league where nobody can tackle, give the ball to Brown 5 yards and let him get a full head of steam and ask the safety to come up and tackle them. I guarantee there's going to be a missed tackle somewhere in there.
Yep.
It seems that, and you wonder, is this Jalen Hurts just not comfortable? He wants, who knows? Because there's a lot of talk about that 3rd and 1 play. Yes, it was a completed pass to seal the game, but that's not a high percentage throw.
No.
That's a bad decision. And they're saying, well, Jalen audibled into that play because that's what he feels comfortable with, I guess.
Yeah, and that goes back to even last year, and I know Kellen Moore wasn't part of this equation last year, but that's what he did at multiple times. I remember him throwing, I think it was a Thursday night football game where he threw a deep ball down the field where he didn't have to do that. It goes and gets intercepted. The Eagles lose that game.
He
right?
did.
I mean,
hey,
that's just,
by the way, you go back to week, 2 against Atlanta. They throw that pass on 3rd and 1, and Barkley drops the ball, and everybody's going crazy. And who knows who called that play, but it seems that there's a disconnect on where these plays are coming from and who's calling them and why.
It sometimes feels like, Mike, and I could be completely off base, and if I am, okay, then I am. I'll come back and admit that. It feels like at certain times, guys that have the ability to do multiple things, like a Jalen Hurts, like a Lamar, like some of these other quarterbacks, they get into their own head because they hear the outside chirping, well, he can't do anything. He's a runner. He's a running back. He's not really a passer. He's not a real quarterback. He's not going to win you games with his arm. And it's almost like they go out there to prove others wrong instead of just go out there and play their game. Right? When the Eagles went to the Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts, he was playing his game. Everything he could do really well, short passes, get him to the playmakers, let them get the yards after the catch, the yak. He was able to do things with his legs. Obviously, the brotherly shove, the tush push, whatever you want to call it, that was a big factor as well. But I mean, there's so many different elements, and it's almost like a 3-point attack when he has the ball in his hands. He can do so many different things, but it seems like he's choosing to eliminate parts of his game where he shouldn't do that. Go and do what made you special. The reason why the Eagles gave you that contract extension, the reason why they moved on from their former quarterback is because they saw what you do special that unleashes that offense. And right now they're not unleashing it.
Our other teams, Q Myers is with us here from Game Night on 97.3 ESPN, weeknights from 10 to 1 a.m. here. And, of course, Eagles' big topic this week was Sirianni. They're getting ready. By the way, they got demoted. How many times have the Eagles been demoted from the 4:25 game to the 1 o'clock game? And you see a team in your division passing you. Hey, we'll take Washington, put you on at 4:25. That can't be good. That said, how many teams look at Jalen Hurts and say, hey, we saw what he did well in 2022. We're not going to let you do that anymore. So they've made the adjustments. Is it he that has it? Because look, this guy took you to the Super Bowl. He was second in the MVP voting. You can make a strong argument, Q, you were at the game, that he outplayed Patrick Mahomes in that Super Bowl. And now this is the guy. Not bad, but just doesn't seem special.
Right, exactly. And that's the problem. He needs to get back into that. And I do think a lot of it has to do with Jalen. I think he wants to prove that he is that guy that can get it all done from the pocket and throw the ball around the yard. And, we saw some of that from Lamar Jackson, even in the AFC Championship game against Kansas City. Remember, we're like, why isn't he running the ball? What is going on? Why isn't he using his legs when that is his ultimate weapon? Yes, he could throw the ball, but why why have to just pigeonhole yourself into one category? Do everything, right? I mean, you're trying to win NFL games, and you're trying to win championships. To do that, you've got to be that ultimate weapon. At least I think so. And I think that Shane Steichen had a really good relationship with Jalen Hurts, and I think that they had an understanding of how they were going to operate and get things going. And he brought the best out of Jalen. And it feels like ever since Shane left, it's almost like Jalen's making the decision of, okay, I'm going to show you who I could be, and I can get it done without him. And sometimes it just doesn't work. And it's good enough right now, but is it really good enough? As you mentioned, the Washington Commanders are being slid into the primetime spot as opposed to the Philadelphia Eagles. When's the last time that happened?
Not in my memory here. Maybe Robert Griffin III was the last time the Commanders had any sort of buzz about them. While we have you, Q, let's look at the NFC East. You've been around Dallas a lot. You know the Jerry Jones story. You know the game that he likes to play. The game that he's playing right now seems like a guy who is not wanting to look in the mirror, and he is starting to lash out because of his own ineptitude. And that team, currently constructed, does not look like a playoff team in the NFC field.
You know what's funny? It didn't look like a playoff team when the season started either, right? I know that they got it done with Dak as far as the contract, obviously CeeDee Lamb as well. But what else did they do, right? And that was my big question I had all offseason. For a team that was all in, how did you show me that you're all in, right? I'm a show me type guy. Don't tell me. Show me. Show me what you're going to do. Show me what you're about. And they didn't show me anything. They went out and hired Mike Zimmer. Okay, he's on a one-year deal, just like the head coach, Mike McCarthy. They brought in Eric Kendricks. Okay, that's cute. But what else did you do, right? You decided not to go after Derrick Henry, even though we see how much juice he has left in his legs, because you couldn't afford him. You know how you could have afforded him? Not just drag your feet and take to the 11th hour to get CeeDee Lamb's deal done, and the 11th and a half hour to get Dak's deal done. If you had got that done ahead of time, your salary cap is adjusted. It goes down. You have plenty of space. You could have gone and got a Derrick Henry. You chose not to do it. It's almost like he thought, well, we've got the star on the side of the helmet. We're going to be fine. I'm Jerry. I'm the end all be all. No, you're not. It's not, your team don't carry that kind of swagger anymore, right? You don't just go in with the star on your helmet and win games. It's not like that. It hasn't been like that for many, many moons. There was a time when the Cowboys were intimidating. They're not intimidating anymore. They're cute, right? It's a cute story. That's great. You have a nice big stadium. That's awesome. You've lost and gotten blown out of your own building the last couple games. You're looking bad. Like, the wheels are falling off in Big D, Mike. Let me put it like that. I don't know how Jerry turns this thing around. He's got a lot of money invested in Dak and CeeDee Lamb now. The one thing I can say is that Mike McCarthy will probably be out when the season's over. He won't get fired, but his contract will expire, and he'll just walk off like Jason Garrett did. We mutually decided to part ways, and then he'll have to try to get back to the drawing boards. But the wheels are falling off in Big D, and it's all because of Jerry Jones.
And listen, they draft very well. They do a good job of finding talent. They do a terrible job, right?
Will McClay.
They do a terrible job of, what Howie Roseman does really good is identifies guys and gets to them and gives them raises earlier than they deserve the raise, and then they're underpaid. And that's how the Eagles have done such a good job of, keeping their talent. Dallas gets in its own way. They can't keep their own talent. They overpay their own talent, and then they just can't get the pieces to put them over the top when they need to because they mismanage their cap. That brings us to a poorly run franchise in the past, Washington. We ready to believe that the Commanders are a new, totally different field Commanders and ready to take over this division?
Look, I don't know if they're ready to take over the division. I don't want to go and overreact right there, but I'll say what? Jaden Daniels, the number 2 overall pick out of LSU, the Heisman Trophy winner from a year ago, he's given that organization hope. And once you have that quarterback, as Houston, once you have identified that that's your guy and is proving to be your guy, you have an opportunity. Now, guess what? There's going to be guys that are going to want to play in Washington because they want to play with Jaden Daniels. I'm actually surprised Washington wasn't a player for Devontae Adams. I thought they made all the sense in the world. Devontae used to be a Raider. He said that he thought the Raiders were going to have a chance to get him. He wanted to play with that guy. I'm surprised they didn't make that move, but we get it. Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, okay, that makes sense. But there's going to be players that are going to want to go there. There's going to be, coordinators that are going to want to go and coordinate there. There's going to be guys on that coaching staff that are going to get jobs because the way that team is performing under Jaden Daniels, and obviously Cliff Kingsbury's offensive coordinator. Dan Quinn's got a second opportunity to be a head coach. I mean, there's a lot to like about Washington. I don't think they're in position to take over the NFC East yet, but they're a team on the rise. You better watch out for them.
All right, we saw Hard Knocks. Everybody laughed at the Giants. They let Barkley go. Yeah. Barkley had a good couple weeks. The Eagles going through some rough patches. Do we feel better about the Giants now than we did in the Hard Knocks days?
Right? They're just not a good team. So it really wouldn't have made a whole lot of sense to go and pay the big money to Saquon to keep him a Giant. I get it. He's been a Giant for his whole career. That's cool. But they're not a good team, as it's being shown, right? Daniel Jones is not a good quarterback. Never should have paid that guy. He had 1 year of success, Brian Daboll's first year there, and they thought, okay, maybe he is the guy. Nobody thought he was the guy. Like, everyone knew Daniel Jones was just all right, right? You had an opportunity. You were picking at the top of the draft. You could have got your guy. You went and got Malik Neighbors. Great pick. Who's throwing on the ball? So now they're going to be in April. We're going to be talking about leading up to the draft, who the Giants quarterback selection is going to be. Will it be Shador? Will it be Cam Ward? Will it be Jalen Milroe? Will it be Quinn Ewers? Will it be Carson Beck? Like, there's so many options. They've got to pick one of them, though. They've got to pick one of those doors. They don't have a quarterback. So to invest all the money in the running back when you don't really have a legit quarterback, it didn't really make any sense. So I'm not mad that they let Saquon go. They probably didn't have to talk about him the way they did on Hard Knocks, but all right. That's
made
the
for
Eagles
good TV.
game.
Made for good TV, man.
Exactly.
All
So
right.
there's that.
You mentioned you are in Vegas. They just made probably the biggest trade that we're going to see of the season here when they landed a bunch of draft picks here. They got rid of Devontae Adams. That just never worked. It never worked for them. I think it was a weird thing. You know, it felt like they thought they were getting a package deal out there. That never happened. He went through the quarterback car wash, and now he's back in with the Jets. Who does this deal work out better for? The Jets? Vegas? What do you think?
I actually think it works out really well for both, to be honest. I mean, he's in a place where he's going to get targets. I don't think that the Jets are a playoff team. I said that at the beginning of the season. I don't buy the coaching staff. I feel like Aaron Rodgers runs that organization. I don't think that's a good recipe. Now, with that being said, they're 2-4, and they've got Devontae Adams, who's got a great relationship with Aaron Rodgers. So you're going to see probably a great connection immediately starting on Sunday Night Football against the Steelers with Devontae and Aaron Rodgers. That's great. But he wasn't playing for the Raiders anymore. So they end up getting a conditional third-round pick that could be a second-round pick if Devontae makes first-team or second-team AP All-Pro, which with all the targets I think he's going to get, there's a chance that he'll probably make second-team. And so maybe it turns into a second-round pick. If not, they get a third-round pick. Okay, fine. But they don't pay any of the salary to Devontae. The Jets assumed all of that. And the Raiders are sitting there at 2-4. They're not a team that looks like they're going to make any kind of a run. So Tom Telesco, the new GM, he's got to start to put together his big board and figure out how he's going to get this team put together. Mike, the one thing about the Raiders, they have 8 draft picks as of right now. They'll probably pick up 2 compensatory picks, so that'll be 10. They're going to have in 2025 over $108 million in open salary cap space due to this trade. So if Tom Telesco had any opportunity to build a team, go get your franchise quarterback similar to the Giants. They don't have their guy, Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew. Don't tell me that's the guy. They're not.
No.
They'll have an opportunity to go get any of those quarterbacks I rattled off earlier, and they have salary cap space to take care of a couple guys that they want to keep in the building and bring some new guys into the building.
Well, the Adams thing, right, that just never worked out for Vegas. It just never seemed to get going for them.
In 2 years, Mike, it's not going to work.
No, I said, how does a team walk into training camp with Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell battling for the job? I mean, you're thinking you could almost walk down the Vegas Strip and find a better possibility of someone to win that job than the 2 guys they tapped on the shoulder.
Right.
It's been a now obviously the trade, you know, this is a last ditch effort for the Jets. They're 2-4. They're hoping this turns their whole thing around. Is this going to be like when the Sixers traded for James Harden and all of a sudden Adams is like, yeah, I'm healthy. I'm ready to go.
Yes. Yeah. He's already scheduled to play Sunday night. He's got his custom cleats already. He's got, he's Team Jordan, so he's got all the Jordan custom everything. He's got the cleats ready to go in the jet green, got the fancy J's. He had them out there on ESPN when he made his impromptu visit to the Pat McAfee show on Aaron Rodgers Tuesday. Like, he's smiling from ear to ear. This is the way I described it. It's like Forrest Gump. I'm not a movie guy, but I do know that movie. When Forrest Gump shed those braces off his legs and started running, and they said, "Run, Forrest, run!" That's Devontae. As soon as he found out he was on his way to the Jets, he hit that corner, man, and he looked like Usain Bolt. He was gone. Ran faster than he never ran that fast in his career. All of a sudden, he was like, boom. He was like the Flash. He was gone.
So just real quick, he can still play. He's not like DeAndre Hopkins or one of these guys that kind of like all of a sudden they're stars. They don't play because of injury, and then they come back and they're just never like we've seen all that a lot with these receivers that just bang in the blink of an eye. Julio Jones goes from AP first team to completely off the map. DeAndre Hopkins, I don't even know that people know what team he's on anymore. Once he bounced around Cardinals, I guess he's in Tennessee now? Hopkins?
I think he's in Tennessee, yeah.
I think he's in Tennessee. This is DeAndre Hopkins we're talking about. Is Adams on that level where he can still play and make an impact?
Yeah, he is. He's definitely an impact player. And that's why I think he's going to get a ton of targets when he starts suiting up for the Jets starting on Sunday. He's still really good, right? He's not that guy. Decline. He's had a few drops this season, but I think those are focus and concentration and unhappiness, kind of moody. You know how wide receivers are. So, yeah, I think that he's in a good mood. He's got a quarterback that can get on the ball, not only get on the ball so he can make the catch, but also get the yards after the catch, the ball placement. That's something Minshew, that's something O'Connell, that's something Jimmy G, that's something Brian Hoyer, that's something that Jarrett Stidham, and even Derek Carr to a certain extent. All 6 of those quarterbacks that threw passes to him with the Raiders, they weren't able to do consistently.
That's a bad group of quarterbacks. Q Myers, you heard him this morning on Greeny, or this afternoon. Morning for you, afternoon for us.
Yeah, morning for me.
Are you doing tonight? Are you on game night tonight?
No, I'll be back on game night tomorrow night, Thursday night football, kicking off week 7. Mike, it's already week 7 in the NFL season. That's so wild to me.
It moves fast. We all yearn and wait for it, and then it gets here, and your team is already you already have an opinion of what your team is. All offseason, you're waiting and hoping for the best, and now you see this is all I got. But we'll be listening to you, of course, on game night and filling in for Greeny this week here on 97.3 ESPN. He's Q Myers, everybody. This is the Sports Patch. Thanks, brother.
Appreciate you always.
All right, coming up next, the Phillies. Now, yesterday, Dave Dombrowski said, you got to trade good players to get good players, right? Well, Bleacher Report put out a list of 25 players who could be traded this offseason, and there are 5 on this list, maybe more, that stand out. That's next.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Never thought this radio stunt would catch on so big.
On 97.3 ESPN.
Hi, I'm Larry Mintz. When dealing with a workers' compensation claim, in most cases, the injured worker doesn't get the money they're entitled to. That's why you need the right lawyer. When injured on the job, call us first. We'll speak with you for free and get you all the money and benefits you deserve.
Make the right call to Golden Bird Mackler. Call us at 609-344-7131. That's 609-344-7131. Or visit us online at gmslaw.com.
Is reviewing life insurance on your to-do list? Now's the perfect time to add it. A friend recently told me that securing life insurance sooner rather than later can help you lock in lower rates for years to come. So I bumped this up on my list and got it done. I called SelectQuote and couldn't believe how easy and affordable life insurance is. I'm 40 and got a $500,000 policy for $16 a month. My husband's also 40 and his $500,000 policy was only $18 a month. Plus, with SelectQuote's same-day coverage, there was no medical exam required, and we were covered by the time we hung up. Knowing I have this checked off my list feels amazing, but the peace of mind knowing my family is protected feels even better.
Call SelectQuote 1-800-670-5151. That's 1-800-670-5151. Or go to SelectQuote.com to get your free quote today. 1-800-670-5151. Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com.
It's the time of year for killer deals. You've had your eye on some hot new wheels. We want to pay off your loan or lease and tell your old car to rust in peace.
Get your Matt Black Kia today. Buried in a loan or lease? Matt Black Kia wants to get you released and treat yourself to 0 down, 0 payments until next year, even 0% up to 72 months on every clearly marked new Matt Black Kia in stock. You won't need a costume to get a brand new Matt Black Kia Forte LXS under 20 grand. That's right, a brand new Kia, just $19,999 with any trade. That's less than most used vehicles.
It's gotta be a Matt Black Kia.
Bulletproof credit, 24 EV9 and 6, $13.88 per thousand. Not all will qualify. Credit may affect down payment. Offers can't be combined. Go to MattBlackKiaNJ.com for complete details or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes. Through KMF. Rebates and incentives to dealer. Expires 10/31/24.
Matt Black Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and on Route 37 in Toms River.
It's time to review the top 3 highlights of the day. I'm joined as always by my co-anchor Snoop.
Hey, what up, though?
Snoop, number 1 has to be getting the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence at T-Mobile.
Yeah, you should hustle down to T-Mobile like a dog chasing a squirrel chasing a nut.
Nice analogy, Snoop. Dogs do love to chase squirrels.
And squirrels love to chase those nuts.
On to highlight number 2, with T-Mobile, families can save 20% every month versus the other big guys.
That is very impressive. You know, y'all can take some of those savings and buy some Snoop merchandise.
That's exactly what I'm planning on doing with my savings, Snoop. Now, take it away, Snoop.
Head to T-Mobile.com and get the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence on them. Now drop that jingle.
With 24 monthly bill credits, eligible trade-in on Go 5G Next. Well-qualified customers plus tax and $35 connection charge. Cancel entire account before receiving 24 bill credits, and credit stop and balance on required finance agreement too. Bill credits end if you pay off device early. See how you can save versus the other big guys at T-Mobile.com/switch. Apple Intelligence coming fall 2024.
Breaking news, and this one is almost unbelievable.
Yeah, it's all about new customers at Bet365 because they get $200 in bonus bets when they bet $5. And even better, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, and player props.
There you have it. Bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bet, and see why. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in New Jersey. Terms and conditions apply.
Meet Cheryl.
Hey.
She's on vacation and lost in the moment. Unfortunately, so is her Chase debit card.
It's gotta be somewhere.
Maybe she lost it at salsa night.
These skirts should have pockets.
Or maybe she lost it at Pilates.
3 and 2 and...
But she's not worried. With the Chase mobile app, she can lock her card till it turns up. Tools that help protect. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
What's better than one win? 3 wins. With Straight Savings, you keep your own phone, get one line for only $25 a month with real unlimited data, and get rewarded with a $200 phone credit after 12 months. It's a win-win-win. Head to Walmart or visit straighttalk.com today. Switch to Straight Talk. Less dollars, more sense. Straight Savings Plan enrollment requires compatible unlocked device and new line of service. Bonus device credit requires 12 months of active service. Offer ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. Taxes and fees apply. For network management practices, see Straight Talk's terms and conditions.
Hi, I'm Dan Tracy. I'm a workers' compensation attorney. At Goldenberg Mackler, we've handled thousands of workers' compensation claims over the years. Our experienced attorneys understand the law and will fight to get you the benefits that you deserve. When injured at work, make the right call to Goldenberg Mackler. Call us at 609-344-7131. That's 609-344-7131. Or visit us online at gmslaw.com.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Keeping the fans entertained and happy.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app.
This hour brought to you by Broadleaf's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning, your trusted source for heating, plumbing, service, installation for generations. 609-390-3907. Online, broadleafs.net. I'm Mike Gill. We've got an offseason for the Phillies of uncertainty because there's not a lot of moves they can make. The only things they can do is if they think outside the box and get creative. So we get people who text in all the time with like MLB The Show type of trades, fantasy baseball type of trades. You know, like trade 9 guys in your minor league system for like a superstar, or 7 guys in your system that nobody wants for like a really good player. Those trades generally don't happen, but some realistic options I'm going to throw your way. Bleacher Report put out a list of 25 players who will possibly be traded this offseason based on their contractual situations and or other reasons, okay?
I'm interested.
So I looked at the list last night. I wrote an article for 97.3ESPN.com. I picked out 5 guys. Now I'm going to read the 25 guys, but the 5 guys that I picked out, I will let you know. I wonder if you can identify which 5 guys that I picked out after I read the list to you.
We're not talking about sandwiches, right?
These are not sandwiches. These are trade potential players that could be moved based on their contractual situation. This is what Bleacher Report says. It's highlighted by, it's a mix of speculative trade candidates and players who have previously seen their names pop up in the rumor mill. I will give you the caveat that Mike Trout's name is not on this list.
That does not surprise me.
No. All right, here we go. Number 25. Any interest in Brendan Rodgers?
No.
He's a second baseman. Doesn't really fit here, but won a Gold Glove.
To me, Brendan that's like getting Austin Hayes. Like, doesn't move the needle for me.
All right, I didn't think it would. He's a candidate that could be traded. It's not like I didn't expect you to.
I hope he gets traded to a nice team and he has a nice career.
All right, Andrew Vaughn.
No.
He's a first baseman, 26 years old. I don't know how he helps this team, obviously, because of the position. Tyler Anderson, starting pitcher from the Angels.
I mean, I would have interest if you told me that he was going to replace Taijuan Walker.
1 year, $13 million left. He's not the guy. I'm trying to see if you can figure out which guys I picked.
Gotcha.
All right, he's not one of them. Mike Yastrzemski is obviously an outfielder from the Giants. He's 34 years old. He's arbitration eligible. Last year, he had 18 home runs, 57 RBI.
I would be interested in him because of his position. I do think that you could have a conversation of if you were going to, move on from Brandon Marsh, right? And you wanted to replace him with somebody of a similar age. Maybe.
Well, he's older than Marsh. I mean, he's 35. He's going to be 35 years old.
Oh, he's going to be 35? I thought he was younger than that. Oh, maybe I'm a little less interested then.
And he's a left-handed bat, by the way.
Well, so is Marsh.
Yeah. So if you were basically just
my thinking was if you were going to move on from Marsh, you were going to replace him with somebody who maybe has a chance to be more productive.
Pete Fairbanks, Tampa Bay, age 30, 1 year, $3.7 million left on the contract with a club option for 2026.
I mean, he would be interested just because he's probably better than a few of the guys you already got, right?
He's one of the 5 guys I picked. He is a closer. He is a guy that is probably not going to close in Tampa. He got hurt last year, and then they basically replaced him. He never got his job back. 61 saves over the last 4 years, 23 saves and 27 chances. I don't know that he's a lockdown, shutdown closer, though. He, to me, is more, if you got him, probably an 8th inning guy.
But you could use an 8th inning guy because one of the problems the Phillies had was they couldn't get it to the 8th and 9th innings.
Yeah, 1 year, 3.7, though. That's a low number that you would take on. Now, what are you giving up to get a Fairbanks? That I don't have an answer. Are you giving up an Alec Boehm? Are you trading someone of that? How about Brandon Marsh? Would you trade Brandon Marsh for Pete Fairbanks?
Yes.
Luis Renfio, excuse me, from the Angels.
I was like, who's Renfigo? Renfro, yeah. I mean that he's certainly
Rengifo, not Renfro.
Oh, okay. Renfrio.
Yes.
Okay. The Angels, you said.
That's right.
Okay.
Kind of a super utility player. 300, 347 on base, 24 steals, plays all over the place. Outfield, middle infield, third base, 27 years old, arbitration eligible.
So, like, would he replace Sosa?
Kind of like a Sosa, maybe even like a Cody Clemens, somebody like, because he plays infield. Sosa doesn't play the outfield, and he doesn't play a lot of outfield, but he can, so you're looking at a Weston Wilson, but a little bit more versatile.
I mean, you would have to think because of his versatility, you should have some interest.
I would think you have interest. He did not make my 5, but he would be a guy that I would have some interest in.
Okay.
If you were like, hey, how can we upgrade, that super utility? Like, is he the guy that you thought where Merrifield was going to be?
Yes, absolutely. That's the kind of player I was hoping Merrifield would be.
Kyle Finnegan is a closer. Washington, 33 years old.
The answer is
38
yes.
saves, 43 chances. I didn't put him on my list. Not a big strikeout guy. The whip's a little high, and he's closing games out for a bad team. 33 years old. So is he that lockdown closer guy? I'm not feeling him.
Listen, he's not a lockdown closer, but I think that if you could bring him in to basically replace Tanner Banks, because we heard Tanner Banks' name mentioned multiple times.
I think that's a little pie in the sky to replace Tanner. Well, I think Banks will be back here next year. He's not a free agent anyway.
Right,
but this isn't Tanner Banks is a left-handed like specialist kind of guy. This guy's a closer. You're basically saying, hey, make Kyle Finnegan a closer, a 5th inning specialists.
I mean, that happens on a lot of playoff teams, though. They take guys who are maybe closers somewhere else and turn them in different roles with their team.
I would imagine that he gets a much better market than being that particular guy.
All right.
Yeah. Nestor Cortez, starting pitcher from the Yankees. He is arbitration eligible. Kind of fell out of favor in New York.
Yeah, he's also had some injury issues. I'm not a fan of that, Mike. I'm worried about his arm issues.
Zach Littell is Littell, from Tampa Bay, 29 years old. You know the story with Tampa. Once guys get to an area where you have to pay them, they want to move them.
I mean, I'm more interested in Fairbanks than Littell.
Well, he's a starting pitcher, so he doesn't make as much. Any starting pitcher, I don't think, is really, unless you're looking for like another Spencer Turnbull type, and I think he would probably be better than a Spencer Turnbull. He's a pretty good pitcher, by the way.
He is.
He was on my fantasy team, got hurt.
Like half your fantasy team.
Mm-hmm. He has pitched in relief, though, something Turnbull had not done in his career. So he would be a possibility. See, I'm kind of zoned in on, but here's the problem with this. Andrew Painter being in my rotation.
Right.
Whether he's the fifth guy, the fourth guy, the third guy, which means my starting rotation feels pretty locked up.
Correct.
So if I'm going to bring in a guy from outside the organization, I don't want to have to pay that guy a lot of money. But
and again, you're already paying Taijuan Walker.
Here's the problem, and you already have Taijuan Walker. But here's the problem: how many innings can you count on from Painter? That's an issue.
Yeah, you're not going to be getting 200 innings out of him.
No, they said the other day, we don't think we can get 180 innings out of him. He's not ready for that. So, does that mean they limit him on the front end? Do they limit him on the back end? They mentioned the way that they used Skeens in Pittsburgh,
right.
So that's where you need to have somebody else prepared to kind of fill in some starts here and there. Ryan Mountcastle from Baltimore, 27 years old, first base, good numbers. He's averaged 31 doubles, 26 home runs, 94 RBI, 33 homer season he's had. Problem is the position he plays.
Yeah, good player, bad position.
All right. Taylor Ward, excuse me. He's an outfielder.
Yeah. I mean, he kind of falls into the Shremsky category for me, which is if you're telling me that he's replacing Brandon Marsh, I'm having the conversation.
Well, here's where he's different. He's a right-handed bat, and
right.
you would now be bringing this player in
as an
everyday player. Now, I would imagine now he's 30 years old, so I don't know what you have to give up to get a 30-year-old player in return. He is arbitration eligible, 25 home runs, 75 RBI, 26 doubles, 246, 323 on base. That's where not great, but 906 OPS and 7 home runs in September down the stretch. So he would be intriguing. He did not make my list, by the way.
Okay.
Jonathan India.
I'm a little interested in that.
See, I just don't know where he plays for you.
Yeah, the question is, where does he play? And I'm sure there's going to be a question of what would you have to trade to get him.
But what do I have to trade to get a guy who just doesn't have a position on this particular team? I mean, they said they already said their infield is already locked in.
Right.
Unless you're just trading a guy to trade a guy and change things up. In other words, I'm trading Bryson Stott to get Jonathan India just because I need a different feel. I don't see that happening.
Gotcha.
So I think India would be out. He's a second baseman, by the way, for the people who don't know.
He's right-handed, though.
He is a right-handed bat. And he's not older guy. He's 27 years old. So him and Bryson Stott are
interchangeable.
In the same ballpark. It's not like one guy's 30 and the other guy's 24. You got two guys in their 20s. All right, Brandon Lau from the Rays, second baseman, another same thing. Second base, all that stuff. Adds more power at second base.
Left-handed, though.
Also 30 years old, so you're starting to get to that spot. Jesus Luzardo, starting pitcher, Marlins. Kind of passing on the starting pitchers at this moment. We kind of explained that. Ryan McMahon from Colorado. Now, that's an interesting one.
Now, my question, though, is what would it take to get him?
Do you make the trade and tell them we'll give you Alec Boehm?
Is Alec Boehm enough?
Well, McMahon is 29.
Right, so he'll
be
older.
30 when the season starts. So the Rockies would be getting the younger player,
right,
and a controllable player, arbitration,
for multiple years.
McMahon has 3 years and $44 million left on his deal. So they would be getting out of the $44 million to take on the cheaper player and the younger player. Is that a swap that makes sense?
I think you have to at least consider it, because I had asked you the question last week, Mike, and I'll bring it up again. Do we feel comfortable with Alec Bohm moving forward, knowing that he has these maturity issues?
The organization would have to make that decision. I mean, he's almost their best pure hitter on the team. By the way, he's probably a better hitter. I don't think you're getting much of an upgrade here, by the way. Power-wise, 20 home runs for McMahon, 65 RBI for McMahon, 242 average, and a 325 on base. I mean, quite frankly, Bohm is just a better player than he is.
Bohm's definitely the better hitter. Yeah.
So if your whole thing would be what you're saying, do we just not like his attitude and we need to move on?
Right.
To me, this trade just doesn't make enough sense.
All right.
Now you're into the top 10.
Okay.
Sonny Gray.
Starting pitcher.
He is a Cy Young candidate level pitcher. Is that enough? He's got 2 years and $60 million left. $30 million a year he's making. Just think that's just too much. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense with the current construction of the roster.
Yandy Diaz, first base, doesn't make sense.
Yeah, wrong position.
Ryan Helsley, closer.
That's intriguing.
Cardinals. He is 30 years old, arbitration eligible, led the National League, 49 saves and 53 chances, 2.04 ERA. He did make my list. Now, the question would be, what level of player are you giving up to get this guy? I'm imagining the Cardinals are going to want a Stott, a Bohm.
Can you give him McAble?
That's a good question. I don't think he has enough trade value.
Okay.
To get some of this.
You get to pair, if you were to trade Ailey, you got to pair him with something else.
I would think if I'm the Cardinals, I'm probably saying, look, this is the best closer in baseball right now.
You got to give me that kind of package.
Yeah, we want a young player who's gonna help us out
immediately.
But I don't know that the Phillies would balk at that if they thought this was the guy. Now, the question with these closers is they're so volatile. Am I giving up a real player to get a closer in a trade that I just don't know what I'm getting from year to year?
Right. That's the problem in baseball now. There's really there's almost no bullpen consistent pitching anymore.
Devin Williams, closer, Milwaukee.
I would personally go Hensley, then Williams, if just because of the fact that I feel like Hensley gives me a little bit more of a track record.
Well, Williams, in 6 years, 1.83 ERA, 1.02 WHIP, averages 14 strikeouts over 9 in 241 appearances. So his track record is pretty darn good. 22 appearances this year, 1.25 ERA, 0.97 WHIP, almost 16 strikeouts per 9. He had 14 saves in 15 opportunities, and he struck out 38 of the 88 hitters he faced.
So my question is, why would the Brewers want to trade him?
Well, his contract, he's going to make almost $11 million. So the Brewers might say, we're not paying $11 million for a closer because they have an in-house replacement, Trevor McGill, who was there because Williams missed most of the year this year because he was hurt, and McGill saved 21 games before Williams got back.
So does the injury or the contract scare you off?
He had a stress fractures in his back. That's a tough one. He's 10.5 million club option for 2025. So there's not a long commitment here, really, just next year. But are you trading something of substance for a guy who's essentially a rental?
That's a lot to ask.
Bo Bichette, shortstop, doesn't make sense.
But could he play second?
Well, what are you doing with Stott?
Trading Stott for him.
You rather have Bichette over Stott?
He's right-handed.
Okay, that's a reason. Did not have a great year.
No, he didn't, but maybe he needs a change of scenery.
Possible. He's 26, so there's an interesting one. Now, he's got 1 year, $17 million on his contract. So now you're trading Stott, who's controllable and cheap. For a 1 year player. And that's where I think you probably run out of reasons to justify this. Nico Horner from the Cubs, another second baseman. Gold Glove level player.
Stott's a finalist for the Gold Glove this year.
Do you like the right-handed bat better?
I do like the right-handed bat option, especially if you're serious about changing the lineup like Thompson suggested they might consider.
All right. I would make that deal. We heard Lewis Robert Jr.'s name at the deadline.
Yes.
So is that it? Now that it's the offseason, I make that call again.
I'm still not interested because of his injury history.
If you get him, 1 year, $17 million commitment. There you go. That's what you would have to do. What are the White Sox asking for? Do they lower their ask now that it's the offseason?
I mean, they might, but still, if you acquire that guy, you got him for 1 year guarantee, but then he gets injured again. Then what do you do? Then you're back to square one, right?
All right. Garrett Crochet.
I don't like his attitude.
We knew that the Phillies were involved in trade talks with him at the deadline, but it goes back to he's a starting pitcher. That wasn't really your downfall.
Right. Your downfall was your hitters.
Number 2 on the list, Sandy Alcantara, another starting pitcher.
I mean, at least he's right-handed.
I mean, starting pitching-wise, lefty, righty, I mean, if you could throw, you could throw. I don't care
True,
what hand you
yeah.
are.
What does it take to get him, though?
Starting pitcher, I'm not giving up anything of substance to get him. If the Marlins want to trade him because they don't want to pay him, I will help you there. 2 years, $34 million left on his contract. But I don't feel it's a necessity to give up anything of value. Hey, I'll give you Mick Abel. You want to take a shot with Mick Abel? Go for it.
Right.
And number 1, Brent Rooker.
Now, see, if you told me you were going to get Brent Rooker and put him in left field every day, then I'm buying that sale.
Now, the question is, price potentially. If the asking price is Painter, Miller, Crawford,
no,
you make that deal.
No.
Back to square one. We don't want to give to get. What did Dombrowski say yesterday? Sometimes you got to trade good players to get good players.
And if you told me I had to trade Alec Boehm to get him, I'd have the conversation.
I don't know that the A's view Alec Boehm as good as the player as the other ones. Sports Fast Live. So there you go. It's a little bit of a insight on some of the players' names that could be available on the market this offseason. Anybody out there have any interest in them? Rooker, I'm definitely calling on. And I'm saying when you get to spring training, you'll be in left field taking fly balls every single day. That's what you're going to do. You're going to be my right-handed left fielder. You're going to play every day. You're going to have number 4 in the lineup behind probably Bryce Harper. That will be, if that guy's available, I'm making that call, and I am asking, what will it take? Sports Fast Live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, streaming live video on the X platform at Mike Gill Show. Subscribe on YouTube at Mike Gill Show and watch the show live. When you come back, you're going to be watching Football at 4 with Jeff Mosher right here on the Sports Fast Live on 97.3 ESPN. This hour of the show is brought to you by Broadleaf Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
This is South Jersey's Philadelphia Eagles football. The Eagles get the 24 season this against their NFC East rival. Listen to all the action with Harry Reese and Mike Witt. Starting at noon and kickoff at 1 p.m. This is the play-by-play home of the Philadelphia Eagles, 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's station.
Academy Award nominee, Chaz Commentary, brings his original one-man show, A Bronx Tale, to Ovation Hall and Ocean Casino Resort Friday, April 11th. Experience this critically acclaimed one-man show that will take you back to the Bronx in the 1960s. A Bronx Tale, written and performed by Chaz Commentary, Friday, April 11th at Ovation Hall and Ocean Casino Resort. Tickets go on sale Friday, October 18th at 10 a.m. Visit oceanac.com. That's oceanac.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, board-certified urologist and senior vice president of men's sexual health at HIMSS. In my 12 years of practice as a reproductive urologist, I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now. Thanks to it really wasn't easy before. You had to take time out of your day, come to a physical local office than seeing a specialist like me in person. Now, through Hims.com, you can get world-class sexual health care, a full range of treatment options for you through a 100% online process. It starts with a free assessment from a medical provider licensed in your state who can determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, the medication is shipped to you for free. So don't wait. Join the hundreds of thousands of guys who've gotten help for their ED through Hims.
Start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% off brand name prices. Go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
Your business needs a network you can count on. Comcast Business has you covered with Wi-Fi backup to help keep your business up and running, even when your power goes out.
Everybody in the warehouse good? Lights are out, but the Wi-Fi's up. Let's power on.
It's from the company with 99.9% network reliability.
Break room, you good?
Can't microwave my burrito, but Wi-Fi's fine. Let's power on.
Power on with the leader in connectivity, Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Keep your business connected with Comcast Business Internet and Wi-Fi backup, or get started with reliable internet for $59.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get up to a $500 prepaid card on a qualifying gig bundle. Don't wait. Call or go online today. Ends 11/17/24. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 150 megabit per second internet. Eco bill and auto pay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra and subject to change.
Did you know that Wendy's has any size soft drinks for just $1? Yeah, any size, anytime. Like $1 Coke, $1 Sprite, or even $1 strawberry Fanta. Okay, could we maybe switch up the sound effect, please? I'm losing it. Wow, no, not that. Any size soft drink for just $1? Gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. A la carte only. Not valid in a combo. Exclusions apply.
With GMF financing, the qualified buyers excludes Traverse and Corvette excludes prior sales.
Need a car, truck, or SUV? Great! Get to Bennett Chevy, where you're going to get Bennett's best offers ever. You know Bennett sells new Chevys at the true GM supplier employee price, right? Well, right now, Bennett Chevrolet says, how'd you like to buy your new Chevy and pay $500 below the GM supplier employee price? Yes, $500 less than our employees. Plus, you keep all the rebates. That's up to 15% off the sticker. And with available 0% financing, you'll have incredibly low payments. And if you've got an old car to trade, right now you'll get a minimum $10,000 towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. That's at least 10 grand for total junk. Imagine how much we'll pay for good trades. And wait till you experience Bennett's non-commissioned sales team. Paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. So they'll make getting all these unbelievable deals even better. Together, let's drive. Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
With fall savings at the Home Depot, you can get up to $1,600 off select appliances from top brands like Samsung, ranked #1 in customer satisfaction. Wash and dry in one cycle with the Samsung Ultra Capacity All-in-One Washer-Dryer Combo from the Home Depot. And get laundry day done faster, running a super speed load in just 98 minutes. Right now, save up to $1,600 and financing on select appliances with fall savings at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Pricing about September 26th through October 16th. U.S. only. See store online for details. Visit jdpower.com/awards for more details.
Jersey Cow, a great place for the family to hang out and eat ice cream. At Jersey Cow, everything is homemade, small batch, right here in South Jersey with only the best ingredients. Enjoy Jersey Cow in Northfield and Brigantine with all the fall flavors, bringing back popular classics while introducing some future favorites as well. For the best ice cream with constantly rotating flavors, come taste the best homemade delicious ice cream made right at Jersey Cow. Visit every day from noon till 10 at both Northfield and Brigantine locations. Ice cream, a year-round thing at Jersey Cow.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like to check the propane tank on your grill first before hosting a tailgate.
Let's fire up. Here, let me try. Seriously? You didn't check the propane? Who wants chips?
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
97.3 ESPN has teamed up with Seize the Deal for incredible weekly offers from some fantastic local restaurants. Here's this week's big deal.
Get a $50 gift card, good for use at the Ravioli House in Wildwood for just $25.
Get this great deal starting Friday at 9 a.m. at seizethedeal.com. Hurry, chances are this deal will sell quickly. For more info on this great deal, go to seizethedeal.com.
Seizethedeal.com.
It's time to review the top 3 highlights of the day. I'm joined as always by my co-anchor Snoop.
Hey, what up, Doe?
Snoop, number 1 has to be getting the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence at T-Mobile.
Yeah, you should hustle down at T-Mobile like a dog chasing a squirrel, chasing a nut.
Nice analogy, Snoop. Dogs do love to chase squirrels.
And squirrels love to chase those nuts.
On to highlight number 2, with T-Mobile, families can save 20% every month versus the other big guys.
That is very impressive. You know, y'all can take some of those savings and buy some Snoop merchandise.
That's exactly what I'm planning on doing with my savings, Snoop. Now, take it away, Snoop.
Head to T-Mobile.com and get the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence on them. Now drop that jingle.
With 24 monthly bill credits, eligible trade-in on Go 5G Next. Well-qualified customers plus tax and $35 connection charge. Cancel entire account before receiving 24 bill credits, and credit stop and balance on required finance agreement too. Bill credits end if you pay off device early. See how you can save versus the other big guys at T-Mobile.com/switch. Apple Intelligence coming fall 2024.
Breaking news, and this one is almost unbelievable.
Yeah, it's all about new customers at Bet365 because they get $200 in bonus bets when they bet $5. And even better, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, and player props.
There you have it. Bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bet. And see why. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in New Jersey. Terms and conditions apply.
Home of the Sports Bash with Mike Gill, 97.3 ESPN.
Ooh, that's good.
WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. 97.3 ESPN presents the Sports Bash with Mike Gill. It's time for Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast.
Just hungry to bring back another Lombardi to Philly. The fans deserve it. Our team deserves it. Culture begs for it.
Now live, this is Football at 4.
And Football at 4 is powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. It's brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Jeff Mosher from the Inside the Birds podcast is here on a Wednesday edition of Football at 4 to give us a little insight on this Eagles-Giants matchup, which has a couple twists and turns all of a sudden. Some injuries on the Giants side of things that could be concerning for them. Andrew Thomas, their left tackle, he is done for the season. Brian Burns, a DNP today. That would be a big one if the Eagles didn't have to face Burns. The Giants have a pretty good defense, and of course, their offense struggles. We'll get into that now with Jeff Mosher from the Inside the Birds podcast here on another edition of Football at 4 on the Sports Bash. What's going on, Mosh?
Mike, how you doing, man?
All good, man. We're turning the page a little bit behind Nick Sirianni. It seems like maybe, do you think Nick has gotten out of the weeds on that one, or is that still lingering, his little antics on Sunday?
Well, today's Wednesday, and there's Thursday and Friday and Saturday until...
I don't think he was asked about it today. I don't think he got asked about it today in the presser.
Yeah, I think they're finally ready to move past it. But, of course, you know, Sunday brings on a new game and a new set of questions always.
All right, man. Well, we got a lot of questions to get ready for moving forward, and a lot of it concerns. I want to get your take. We talked a little bit about this yesterday. Kurt Warner, the Hall of Fame quarterback, put out a tweet, and I thought it was pretty interesting in when he watches this Eagles offense. And he says, it's fascinating to me that through 3 different coordinators, the past concepts run by the Eagles remains primarily the same. I would not expect that, especially with Kellen Moore, but maybe it's more about the quarterback than the coordinator in that respect. When you see something like that coming from Kurt Warner, what does that tell you about what he sees in this offense?
It validates a lot of, you know, the discourse that we've been having on Inside the Birds for the last 3 or 4 weeks. And Greg Cosell said some of the same things. And when people say, fire this guy, fire that guy, they always want a new person. They always want a new idea. They always want a new, fresh perspective on something. And then what happens? The same, you do that, right? And you get the same result. And every offensive coordinator, every defensive coordinator, they have a plan, they have a philosophy, they have an approach, but they also have to tailor what they do to their personnel. And if you are an offense coordinator and your quarterback likes certain things and doesn't like certain things, or if you have coaches on your staff who are important, who are play designers, and they like certain things and they don't like certain things, you can be at the mercy to that at times, or you can rule with an iron fist and try to make people do what they don't want to do. That is obviously not just a Kellen Moore issue. It's a I don't want to call it an issue. It's something that every single coordinator and coach has to face, but it's certainly been more under the microscope here in Philly, where ever since losing Shane Steichen, who, by the way, had to modify what he did from year one and year two for same reasons, you're seeing now that guys like Brian Johnson, guys like whoever you want to talk about who's coached the Eagles offense, maybe they're not always the problem, just the easiest people to blame.
Oh, I think for sure. Like we always, talk about everybody loves to blame the coach, but they don't really know what goes on inside. And the coach calls a play, and look, this is where it gets a little convoluted. Did the quarterback change the play? Did he go to a play that he's more comfortable with? Did he not like the play call? And then, of course, the fan retorts with, well, then the coach needs to tell the quarterback he can't change the play. And then you're going down a slippery path where the organization is telling the quarterback that they don't trust him enough to do that. So it's not an easy thing to figure out how to untangle this problem.
Right. I know. And I know that a lot of people might say, well, listen, you're the coach. You tell the player what to do and you rule with an iron fist, and that's how it gets done. Okay, great. That's nice in theory. Nice in philosophy, but if you're doing that and making a player of yours do something that he's not comfortable with, that doesn't help. And then if you're creating, friction, and I'm not saying that this is happening, I'm just saying like hypotheticals. If you're ruling with an iron fist and now you've created, friction between yourself and your player who's not playing well because he's doing things that he's not comfortable with, well, that's not good either. So it's really easy to just say, well, the coach should do this and the player should do this. No, that's why we talk about the importance of coach-quarterback symmetry, coach-offense harmony, or coach-player understanding and harmony. And you saw it on defense when it wasn't there last year, what the end result was, because a lot of players didn't like what Sean Desai or Matt Patricia were asking them to do. And when they were asked to do it, they were awful at it, right? So it's just not as simple as new guy, new coach, new philosophy, everything all good now,
right.
Which I tried to talk about so much, all throughout the offseason, the summer, training camp, and just caution against that. People get excited by big names. They get excited by off seasons. They get excited by coaches who have credentials, but it takes a lot more than that.
Moshe, when a guy like Kurt Warner says the past concepts remain the same, when you watch this offense, is that part of the reason why they are, as Lane Johnson put it, constipated? I mean, are they not is it not a creative offense? Is it not an offense that's fun? Is it not an offense that, is fluid?
Part of it. I think what he's also trying to say is, in general, like past concepts around the league, it's not like one person does something so radically different in the passing game than every other person, right? He's basically saying you watch the tape, you see that, 4 verts or a screen or, 2x2 or 3x1. Yeah, you can add a little motion to it. You can add a little shifting. You can do some different things, but route concepts remain the same all across the league, okay? Nobody's running a route tree that 31 other coordinators have never heard of or seen it before. So what Kurt is saying is when you have a new guy who's adding the same pass concepts, but also trying to do some different things to give a different look, but the throws are the same or the plays that are not being made are consistent from year to year, it can't just be on the coach. And what he's basically trying to say, look, Jalen Hurts likes a certain thing. He likes a certain type of throw. We all know it. He likes to throw outside the numbers. He does it really well. If you give him great players who win outside the numbers like A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, he looks a lot better. But
okay, well, let me interject with this then. And you're right. Like, you got great players, and that's why it's so clunky, or why it's surprising it's so clunky. You got great players. So our team's saying after 2 years of watching you, we know you like to go outside, and we're just not going to let you do it.
Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't they let him go outside?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, these teams have now said, like, in 2022, Jalen Hurts had an unbelievable season because no one really kind of expected him to be able to do what he's doing. Well, here we are 2 years later, and it's like, well, this is what I like to do. This is what I like to do. And teams have said, look, this is all you're showing us you could do. So they're making it a lot more difficult to do what he likes to do. And he's not showing a willingness to do something different. So it's like, hey, this guy was really good. Well, now the league has a lot more tape on him, and they're saying, hey, you like to go outside the – and even though you have these two great weapons and receivers, you are not hitting your ceiling because Other teams are saying, we know what you like to do.
Yes. I think he encapsulated it pretty well there. And maybe Jim Schwartz on Monday looked back and watched the film and said, did I just, because Jim Schwartz is doing a lot of stuff differently this year as far as loading his fronts, blitzing more, zero blitzing, things like that. But he's still a traditional, like the back end of his defense is going to be cover 3, 1 safety deep, right? For the most part. And when you play 1 safety deep and cover 3 looks, you leave one-on-ones on the outside. So maybe he's looking back to, man, if I had run 3 or 4 less or fewer of those, because that's really where Jalen Hurts can only hurt me, right? We win that game. But he also only allowed what did the Eagles score? 20 points. So I mean, it's he did his job as a defensive coordinator as well. You can't play non-cover 1, cover 3 coverages the entire game. You've got to eventually do what you do, mix it up, and he paid the price on a few plays that meant the difference.
Jeff Mosher, Football at 4 from the Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com. I talked about this in the opening today, what Detroit does offensively. Their talent is very good. I wouldn't say, man, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamison Williams are head and shoulders better than what you have. I wouldn't say David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs are head and shoulders over what you have. I wouldn't say that Jared Goff is head and shoulders over what you have. Their offensive line is really good. Even if you want to say it's better than yours, it's not head and shoulders better. So why are they fun and you're not?
Well, I mean, I know Saquon Barkley's had a great year, although he didn't have a great game against the Browns. But I would say the Gibbs-Montgomery combination is probably the head and shoulders over just like one individual run. I mean, they're like, if you put them together, they're even better than a Saquon Barkley because they can literally do everything.
Oh, listen, I'm even saying if you want to say
right, that's not your bigger point.
I'm saying you might say Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamison Williams. I like that duo better than I like Brown and Smith. Okay, fine, but it's not head and shoulders better.
True. But I mean, are the Lions head and shoulders better than the Eagles? Probably right now, yeah.
Okay.
They've had their struggles too. I know they lost one at home to Tampa Bay, right? And it just didn't click for them that game. But to your point, yes, they are a much more fluid offense. They are an explosive offense. They showed the Cowboys. They embarrassed and humiliated the Cowboys. I almost thought that was a repayment for what happened to them on Thanksgiving last year when the refs took away a touchdown with the extra reporting tackle. So they decided to empty their entire bag. But yeah, they have an amazingly fluid offense that can attack. It can run well with the running backs. It can throw the ball to the running backs. It can attack you at all 3 levels with Amon-Ra St. Brown middle or Jamison Williams deep or Laporta in intermediary. So yeah, they are, and their quarterback plays well. And he's been with this coordinator for 3 years now, right? I think it's at least been 3 years that he's been with Ben Johnson, and they're on the same page. And the quarterback may not be the Tom Brady, but he makes throws that need to be made at certain times when you've given him good weapons. I mean, it's been a really nice revival story for Jared Goff, who was kind of a laughing stock in the league after, he got traded there as kind of a throw-in on that deal. Mm-hmm. So it's been fantastic. Now, the Eagles don't do any favors, right, for their quarterback because they've had so many different. The Eagles have sort of reacted like fans sometimes. Just blame the coordinator, right? And the problem is, Jason Avant said on Q&A podcast on Inside the Birds, he feels like Kellen Moore's system needs at least a year to learn. So he feels like next year Jalen Hurts will look better. As long as Jalen himself starts to acclimate and lose some stubbornness, he'll start to look better and more comfortable in Kellen Moore's offense. But you and I both know there's not going to be a year or two of Jalen Hurts and Kellen Moore's offense if they average 20 points a game this year. There's going to be a house cleaning. There always is.
Right now, by the way, Detroit's played 5 games. They've scored 151 points, aided by the fact that they just scored 47. Philadelphia in 5 games has scored 106 points. So there's a big difference. Yeah, there's a big difference there. To which I would say, Moshe, the difference for me is Detroit, who has great skill players all over the place, they are still comfortable saying the star of this offense is our offensive line. And it feels that the Eagles are unwilling to be that team that says, even though we have stars, our line is our star. And the Lions are saying, no, we're going to kick the crap out of you up front so that we can allow our stars to be stars, because the other team is so physically beat up, they can't rush the passer the way they want, and they can't stop the run the way they want because our line has physically beaten you. And the Eagles refuse. They did it in 2022, and it took a team that was not talented enough to the playoffs, and they refused to do it because they put money into their star positions.
Yeah. Now, did they try to do it more against the Browns? Certainly. They clearly ran against the depleted Browns defense more than they've run at a clip in any other game this year. They really did try to be more of a ground and pound team. Philosophically, I'll say, or at least by run rate. But the Browns did an excellent job. They have a good defensive line. They got healthier and they crowded it with 6 or 7 guys. They're not the same inside with Cam Jurgens as a center. You know, Jason also, Kelsey struggled earlier in his career with the big guys who play head up over the center. And Cam is doing that now. You almost never see Cam single blocking the man in front of him. So they have lost a little bit of that lunch pail on the inside with that, and of course a new right guard. But Mike, the big thing is, to your point, I'm watching the game again for the second time today, and in the second half, on their first drive, they come out and go under center, and I'm like, whoa, there we go, under center. You know, we've been talking. It's maybe like the third time in the game they did it, and they run a pretty cool play. It's like the left guard pulls to the right, but the play actually goes to the left, and the outside run, Saquon Barkley picks up 6 yards. I'm like, wow, I like that. All right, got to run. You went under center. Now you can like go back under center and maybe show the same formation, but work play action out of it and take a deep shot. No, I mean, you didn't see under center for I don't know how much long. I mean, that might have been just the fourth snap that they played the entire game under center. So to your point, you're asking, is that the coach's philosophy and all this because that's what Kellen Moore does? Or is it because the quarterback doesn't like being under center? You have to placate your offense to the quarterback. Yeah. So it takes away what you want to be, your identity, if you don't have symmetry and harmony among your staff and your players.
Yeah, because if you're going under center, you have the weapons to use play action way more because Barkley's a threat. So they have to address a play action, and then that gives your outside stars better options, better opportunities. The play to me that really proliferates all of this is the touchdown to Smith. It's a 5 air yard throw. It's not a throw down the field. They have the ball at the 45. They snap it. He throws the ball to the 40, and Smith catches it and takes off. Why? There's miscommunication in the secondary. There's a pick in the secondary. You are allowing your star players to get the ball in space. And if anybody's watched this league, nobody can tackle. So guess what? I'll take my chances with A.J. Brown making a guy miss and being able to get big plays out of that, as opposed to constantly taking shots down the field.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting, too, because A.J. Brown is a guy, Shu Kapadia did a really nice job on Gun on One. It's on Inside the Birds right now, up today, talking about how A.J. Brown in Tennessee was a guy who was not just known for the deep ball, but really more known for that quick in, break a tackle, go get upfield, make yards after catch. That was his game. I mean, that's what he was known for. But since he's come here and linked up with Jalen Hurts, he has been a far more productive player outside the numbers, downfield, showing those great, amazing, late, strong hands that he has. I mean, he's really it's a feather in the cap of A.J. Brown to show how much more of a multi-level attacker he is as a wide receiver and his abilities. But it is rare that they get him sprung on the middle of the field throw, then he turns upfield and goes. He had a couple of comebacks, like 2 or 3, that were short of the sticks where he broke a tackle and got first down. But that's not what we're talking about, a comeback. We're talking about like a bang 8 or smash routes where you're in cutting, catch the ball in stride, and then make that quick turn upfield to get more yards after the catch.
You know what, though? I'll take the comeback routes here and there and filter them in and let him try to catch and reverse field and get up and get a missed tackle. And I said it was like there was some fluidity to it. They went to that play, bang, twice, 2 times in a row. It was like right at the end of the second quarter, I think, bang, bang on the right-hand side. I remember again. I'm like, there you go. There's some fluidity. You are getting Brown involved. He's getting up the field. You're getting 6 yards, 8 yards, 7 yards. Like those kind of things make rhythm of the offense. It makes the offense feel like there's a rhythm. You know, it's funny. As bad as the Browns were, and they were wretched, and Watson, he had a great second half for him. I mean, he completed, 11 out of 12 passes, and he was averaging 4.8 yards per pass this season. It's the worst in NFL history. Well, the other day, 7.3, and in the second half, he almost brought them back in that game because nobody can tackle. It's
so funny that you're bringing this up. So yesterday, I watched it on All 22 in the morning, and I'm just getting that. That's like my note taking, my observations. What am I seeing differently? And I observed that both offensively and times defensively, they're a hair off here. They're doing little things that like you can see are correctable, right? And so I come away from that, Mike, and I'm like, man, they're probably not as far away from being where they want. They just got to correct this stuff. But we are saying this week after week, so they are far away, right? Today I rewatched everything with a broader perspective on just what you're saying, like how hard they make it for themselves sometimes, and some of the things they did defensively against Deshaun Watson, who was terrible, but somehow completed 11 of 12 passes. And my takeaway was, holy cow, if they had played like a average team or even a good team, they would have gotten destroyed, by the way, if they played that way. I mean, it's bad in that regard.
All right, let's get a couple quick news and notes on what's happening here. Jordan Mailata, we know he's going to be out multiple weeks. What is the best course, and what will happen at that spot?
Yeah, I don't know that there is a best course. You suspect that Fred Johnson will get the run at left tackle. That's why he's here and on the team. He has played right tackle for the Eagles as well. However, Mekhi Becton, I don't think they'll do this, but you have to keep it in the back of your mind. Becton in better shape now, playing right guard. He is a natural left tackle. You could move him there if you wanted to and get Tyler Steele back in at right guard. And that's sort of based on Tyler Steele playing well a couple of weeks ago when he had to sub in when they had those injuries up front and Becton came out with the hand injury. But you ordinarily, I would say, don't even think about that because the Eagles don't like to weaken two positions. They'd rather just replace one. However, they deviated that from a little bit so far this year in that when Cam Jurgens came out of the game, they moved Landon Dickerson to center. Mm-hmm. And that was an in-game thing. But even this past game against the Browns, Nick Gates was inactive. So if there were an injury to Cam Jurgens, they were going to have to slide Dickerson to center again and then just put in a new left guard. So I don't know if it's like all of a sudden they have a different approach or philosophy and if that's based on personnel. But, Fred Johnson, if he struggles at left tackle, I imagine he's going to get the first run. But if he struggles or if they see something in practice and they're like, man, he's just not holding up, then maybe you see a Becton left tackle and Tyler Steen right guard combo.
If Slay can't go, what happens there?
Isaiah Rodgers.
And
you play Isaiah Rodgers and you just hold your breath against Neighbors and Slayton, right? And Wan'Dale Robinson.
All right. Dallas Goedert likely will be out, we imagine. You just go Calcaterra. What else happens there? He made some. He's obviously was here because he could catch the ball. They like him in the pass game, but losing Goddard, I guess, changes what you could do in the run game.
Yeah, it certainly does. You have Jack Stoll there for that, and we'll see if they elevate E.J. Jenkins from the practice squad, who could be an adequate blocker. He's a 260-pound guy. So I don't think he's out of elevations. I know he was elevated week 1, but I think that was it. So probably there. They have C.J. Uzomah. They could also elevate him. They cut him for a reason, though. Yeah. There was really not a lot of juice game, and I don't even recall him. He used to be known as a pretty good blocker. I'm not sure how much of that he's got left in him as well. So you're going to be heavy 11 personnel. You're going to try to throw the ball, out of 11 personnel and hope that Stoll and Calcaterra can get most of that job done.
All right.
Lost though.
Yep, it's a big loss there. We'll see what ends up happening in the run game this week against a Giant team that's got a pretty good defense. Their offense struggles, obviously. They should get Neighbors back, Singletary back. We'll see what that does for this Giants team. But the Eagles going to MetLife this Sunday, and you can hear the game right here on 97.3 ESPN. Football at 4, Jeff Mosher, everybody, here on the Sports Bash. Thanks, Moshe.
You got it, Mike. Take care.
As always, Jeff Mosher and the Inside the Birds guys here on a Sports Bash Football at 4. And, of course, that is brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. I'm Mike Gill. This is the Sports Bash. You'll hear what Sham Charania has to say about an update on Paul George. Well, he ready? John McMullen at 5:30 tonight. The latest on everything Eagles, including Nick Sirianni's press conference today. We talked a little bit about their offense. We'll hear more from Nick Sirianni's press conference today, in which he highlighted Saquon Barkley and the impact that he could have this week. When we come back, another edition of Nick's Nuggets here with Nick Earnshaw on the Sports Pass Live on 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, streaming live video on the X platform at Mike Gill Show, on YouTube at Mike Gill Show. Subscribe to the YouTube channel to watch. This hour is brought to you by Jersey Cow, a great place for the family to hang out and eat ice cream every day, year-round. They're open in Northfield and in Brigantine. Ice cream is a year-round thing at Jersey Cow, open every day from noon to 10, Northfield, Brigantine. When we come back, Nick's Nuggets here on the Sports Bash.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
For the First Bank of Seattle City, we have all of today's innovative banking products, just like the big banks, but we offer something they can't: a personal community focus. Let's get you started with Bill Pay. You save time when you pay your bills online. Fast, easy, and convenient. First Bank of Seattle City, a community bank that delivers more for you every day. Personal service, today's technology, and the people who truly care. Learn more at firstbankseattle.com.
Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Hey, Total Wine & More has all your Halloween favorites at the totally lowest prices. Find what you love and love what you find. Only at Total Wine & More.
You have your eye on some new wheels. We want to pay off your loan or lease and tell your old car to rust in peace.
Gotta be ya.
Tom's River.
We're going abroad for the first time in years to Spain, so we started using Babbel.
And start learning Spanish fast. With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas? When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
Academy Award nominee Chaz Palminteri brings his original one-man show, A Bronx Tale, to Ovation Hall and Ocean Casino Resort Friday, April 11th. Experience this critically acclaimed one-man show that will take you back to the Bronx in the 1960s. A Bronx Tale, written and performed by Chaz Palminteri. Friday, April 11th at Ovation Hall in Ocean Casino Resort. Tickets go on sale Friday, October 18th at 10 a.m. Visit oceanac.com. That's oceanac.com.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? I think my battery's dead. With free battery testing and charging, we can help you get back on the road. So what if I need a new one? we have the right Duralax batteries for you, only at AutoZone. And what about my old battery? We can recycle it right here at America's #1 battery destination. Restrictions apply.
Here in New Jersey, it's one wow after another, after another, after another. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zero. Here's a great little hidden gem in Skillman in Somerset County. It's Hidden Spring Lavender and Alpaca Farm. Have you ever wanted to meet, feed, or even walk an alpaca amid brilliant, fragrant blooms of lavender? Well, here's your chance. Hidden Springs Gift Shop also has a huge selection of lavender and alpaca products and gifts. Caution, cuteness overload. Find your wow at visitnj.org. New Jersey, little state. Wow, with fall savings at the Home Depot. Get up to $1,600 off select appliances from top brands like GE Profile. Our doers get more done. Valid September 26th to October 16th.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network. Progressive Insurance presents the Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN. NFL, the Eagles head to MetLife Stadium on Sunday, where they'll take on the Giants in an NFC East matchup. Philadelphia coming off a win against Cleveland. They're 3-2, while the Giants are 2-4. Philadelphia has won 5 of the last 6 games against the Giants. Catch all the action starting at noon Sunday right here on 97.3 ESPN. NHL, the Flyers will be in Seattle Thursday night facing the Kraken and wrapping up their 4-game road trip to start the season. Philadelphia lost to Edmonton Tuesday night 4-3 in overtime. 97.3 ESPN has that game for you Thursday immediately after our coverage of Saints and Broncos. NBA, the Sixers hosting the Brooklyn Nets tonight in preseason play with 2 more exhibition games remaining before the regular season opener next week against Milwaukee. Forward Paul George has a bone bruise in his left knee. He suffered that injury Monday against Atlanta. I'm Tony Desiri, and that's your Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN.
Wow. New Jersey might be small, but there's a lot of wow packed into this little state. We got your down at the beach wows, your top of the mountain wows, your show-stopping wows, your cork-popping wows. New Jersey, it's one wow after another after another. Find your wow at visitnj.org. New Jersey, little state, lot of wow.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zero. There's a storm system brewing off the North Carolina coast this evening. As it passes by tomorrow, it could spit a few raindrops our way, immediate coast only. I think west of the Parkway should stay high and dry yet again. It's going to be cold tonight, clear skies, low of 40. Lots of sunshine tomorrow with some clouds and a slight chance of a shower near the coast, high 61. Sunshine and warming up Friday, high 67. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
If you no longer qualify for New Jersey Family Care, you may be eligible for low or no-cost health insurance through Get Covered New Jersey for yourself and your family. These quality, affordable health plans cover doctor visits, prescriptions, emergency services, and more. 9 out of 10 enrolling qualify for financial help, and many pay $10 a month or less. Learn more and find out if you're eligible today at getcovered.nj.gov.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
When I'm driving, I got a guy on the radio who talks to me. I can't see him, but he talks to me.
On 97.3 ESPN.
At 4:32, Nick Nuggets. They're brought to you by the Fanatic Sportsbook at the Gallery Bar Booking Games at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. Nick Earnshaw is host of the Shift podcast. They just had Kevin Stocker as one of their guests on there. So go check that out. And of course, he's the producer of The Locker Room weekends on 97.3 ESPN. And he joins us right now on the Sports Bash for another edition of Nick's Nuggets. For those of you watching on the X platform and the YouTube feed, there you see the man himself who owes me drums, Nick Earnshaw. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, Mike? Yeah, we just had Stocker on. That was a lot of fun. We got to talk to him. We got to break down a little bit of what happened with the Philly season. So that's available everywhere now. So please go check that out. But yeah, that was a fun conversation dissecting the Philly season as well. But we got to continue to dissect heading into the offseason, the Phillies, Mike. And there was an interesting nugget I saw on social media over the course of the last 24 hours. It's a little out there. It's nothing crazy to do with the Phillies, but it has to do with Nick Castellanos. We know Nick Castellanos, not a big college guy. He just likes hitting baseballs for a living. Well, according to his wife, Mrs. Castellanos, on the X platform, she responded to a tweet for clients of Scott Boras, that the Phillies that are part of the Phillies organization, who's the super agent that botched everything last year for all the deals in free agency during last offseason. Castellanos was represented by Scott Boras, but apparently not anymore, according to Mrs. Castellanos. She responded to a tweet on Twitter saying that he is no longer represented by Boras, and that's been a trend lately, especially after the last offseason with Jordan Montgomery and Blake Snell. Took them forever to get signed, and they got less than what they thought they were going to get, so it was a big deal. But Castellanos is representing himself at the moment. There's no word on who he's signed as an agent, but does that mean something could be brewing here as of late? He's not going to be a free agent for another couple of seasons. I believe 2027 is the year he is out. But a little interesting that he decides to part ways with his agent heading into the offseason, Mike.
I don't know how that works. Like, if you get rid of the agent, does he no longer get commission on your contract? Or since he worked out the contract, does he still get the commission?
I wonder. That's probably in the contract, right? Like what the language is. Like if he gets it, if he's still the agent through the
Josh
end,
is
or
saying
what?
Josh is saying he gets commission on the contract, even though he's no longer, the agent for that contract.
Right.
So is he trying to get that's a weird one. I mean, he's got 2 years left on the deal. What is having a new agent doing at this point? Or unless he feels that something could be happening here.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, does he think in the offseason something could happen? He could get moved, possible trade. Does he want an extension from the Phillies? Or maybe if he gets moved, something could happen. He wants an extension from that new team. So the new agent or Nick Castellanos himself would negotiate that next contract. So like Josh mentioned, Boras would probably stick around through this. He would get the commission on this contract. The next agent would get the commission on the following contract.
Correct. Exactly. Now, the question will be, now I can't imagine a world where the Phillies would bring him back or even try to renegotiate and give him a new contract in the middle of this contract.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine him getting a contract this offseason. Maybe that's why he's making the switch. He doesn't expect to get one from the Phillies down the line. He could be moved at some point. So, yeah, maybe he needs to change representation. He doesn't want to happen to him what happened to Jordan Montgomery and Blake Snell. Jordan Montgomery, he kind of lost out on a lot of money. So did Blake Snell. At least Blake Snell had an option. Jordan Montgomery lost a ton of money going to the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Well, a lot of guys who used him this offseason were not happy. Yes. So I don't know what, it is weird timing. I don't have a hypothesis as to why. It's just weird timing.
Yeah. I think with Castellanos, he's a guy, I don't know. Can the Phillies even get value for him, Mike, right now? He had a great year last year, but I don't think you can really get too much for him, even though, he finished the year strong, hit well. But you're never going to get that Reds Castellanos where he's hitting 30 home runs. He's really an incredible all-star. He's not at that level as he once was, especially with the power. And he's aging. He's going to be into his mid-30s by the end of this contract. I don't think the Phillies will get a ton from him. Maybe he's just preparing for that end run for that last contract because he's going to get one more following this Phillies contract.
Yeah, I don't think there's value in a trade. I can't imagine that somebody is saying, hey, we want to give you something of value for Nick Castellanos. I mean, it could be a bad contract for bad contract type of swap. Hey, we'll take the $40 million. We'll give you this guy. I don't see a scenario where, we've been talking about a lot about how do you get creative,
right,
and figure out a way to change this roster. Castellanos is obviously a tradable guy. The problem is I just don't see the value. You're not getting anything of value that can help the big league roster or the minor leagues. It's not like someone's giving you top level prospects either. You're just getting, a bad contract is basically it.
Yeah, it's like you're swapping contracts, essentially. That's kind of the move you'd have to make if you're moving on from Castellanos. That's why I think he sticks out the final 2 years of his deal. Once they're up, the Phillies are like, all right, we'll move on to the next. And I think, the next 2 years, he'll be here is what it is. But yeah, very interesting that he moves on from super agent. Botched Boris says, he botched every single offer he had last year during the offseason. So he moves on, and that's according to his wife. So Castellanos didn't really come out and say it. She was on there, saying, hey, yeah, he's not represented by him anymore.
Yeah, has he got a new wife?
I think so. I think he had a son previously with a different woman, and now he's married. I think he's been married to his current wife, I believe Jess, for the past couple years.
I mean, I've seen her. I didn't know they were married, and I didn't realize.
Wife.
No, obviously Liam is, I guess, not her kid.
I believe that's correct. Yes. Yeah. So she was on social media, dropping truth bombs for the Philly fans on X. All right, let's move along to nugget number 2. We got to talk about Paul George, Mike. And, the home opener is next Wednesday. I will be there in my nosebleeds, like typical Nicky Nosebleeds fashion. Oh, I'll be there. I already got my tickets. But it's funny. The day I got my tickets, Paul George gets the bone bruise. So, I mean, what does that tell you at this point? So he is the bone bruise. He's going to be reevaluated according to Shams Charania on Tuesday. I don't know. Is it even worth playing on rushing him to play in the home opener? I know everyone wants the spectacle, the big three of Maxey, Embiid, and Paul George, but I'm all about health this year. I think the Sixers need to be all about health. They're all about health with Embiid. Why don't we do it? Why don't we do it with Paul George? Well, I don't think he needs to play Wednesday.
I mean, listen, if he's cleared to play, you can't. I mean, listen, we're getting to the point now where it's like you're not allowed to play at all. Like you can only play. Like now it's like you can't play in the preseason because you can't get hurt for the regular season. Well, now you can't play in the regular season because you can't be hurt for the playoffs. Like if the guy's cleared and healthy, you got to play him. I mean, it's not just like what's the difference if you say we're not going to have him play in the opener on the 23rd, which is a week from today, and then their second game is on Friday. Oh, we'll play him Friday then. I mean, if he's playing, okay, so say about both. He's cleared and ready to go. When are we finally going to feel okay with bringing him back and letting him play? When is that date?
I don't want to rush any of these guys. I'm so scared of the Sixers and the injuries they've had to deal with over the course 5-6 years. Just take your time. There's no rush again. Paul George. It's October. It's a lot of basketball to be played, Mike. I don't need Paul George get another bone bruise, hyperextension. I'm scared to death of these guys playing at this point. The Sixers. I mean, you got to put them in a bubble or something because they seem to always get hurt. I cannot have Paul. Like if Paul George is ready to play, the bone bruise isn't that serious. Then yeah, all right, play Wednesday. But he can take his time. He's mid-30s. You're not playing like Embiid. They're doing the thing with Embiid, not playing back to backs. We can be careful with Paul George too. Get him ready for the postseason.
Paul George is a different animal than Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid's 7'2". He's just a big guy to be going up and down the floor like that. I get it. The frustrating part about it is this team has never been able to hit its max capacity because injuries have been such a story in the last 11 years. I mean, remember the process, quote unquote, that started in the 2013 season with Michael Carter Williams. We're now 11 years past that, even though many people think that they lost for 11 years.
Yeah, no, I understand that. Here's the thing with the injuries, though, and Paul George. This is why Paul George worries me. Last year, he played 74 games. Great. Awesome. You love to see it. All right, he played 74 games for the Clippers last year. That's fantastic. The first time he played, it was the first time last year he played since he was 28 years old. He played more than 60 games. When he was 29, in 2019, 2020, 48 games. And then 2020, 21, 54. 31 games after that in 22, 23, played 56. I know the 1 year was the COVID year, but still, he has missed time in the past and not so.
Well, he had that gruesome injury in the Olympics the 1 year.
He did, and but he's missed time. And over the past couple of years, nagging injuries here, nagging injury there. Already starting with the bone bruise this season. And he's 33 years of age, 34 years of age. He's not getting any younger. So I'm okay if they sit him out for the first week, let him fully recover, fully healed. Once he's ready to go, I'll go back in. But if he's ready to go, fine. But I don't see any reason to rush him.
I don't think they are going to rush him, by the way. I think if he's cleared and ready to play, he'll play. If he's not, they're not going to rush him. I think that's the way they're going to handle it. Look, the Sixers are pretty, I think, coming to terms with they need to be healthy. That's been what's holding them back. Joel Embiid said, I don't care if I'm MVP, this, that, or the other. I need to be healthy in the playoffs. Hopefully he means that. I think he does. He said, I don't think I'll ever play back-to-backs ever again. What I will say is if that's what the NBA is hearing, that this guy's saying I'm not playing back-to-backs anymore, I got to stop scheduling back-to-backs for not just the Sixers, everybody. You don't need to have back-to-backs anymore. It's something that you can figure out a way to make your schedule without playing back-to-backs. I think that's pretty doable.
Yeah, I think it's very possible. You don't need to play the back-to-backs. The players can't stand them. If you're going to have star players now just sitting out so they don't get hurt, then just don't schedule them anymore. And the NBA doesn't love that Joel Embiid and the Sixers are essentially coming out saying, yeah, I'm essentially not going to play back-to-backs the rest of my career. Well, some of those back-to-backs could be nationally televised games. The NBA is not going to love that, right? So they cannot be happy with the whole Joel Embiid situation, but it's what's best for him. They have to stick to a plan to keep him healthy for the postseason and to get him through the regular season because it just never seems to happen. He's not getting any younger. He's in his 30s now. Same thing with Paul George. You want to keep these guys healthy. You don't want them to sustain, nagging injuries or season-ending type of injuries, which has happened over the course of both of their careers.
Well, listen, the team took a shot on bringing a Paul George in, who is an older player. That's what happens with free agency in the NBA. These guys are a little older. So, yeah, you knew there was going to be a risk, and you just got to hope that risk works out for you.
Yeah, you definitely do. So we'll see if it pans out. Paul George, will he play? Will I get to see him in the flesh from the nosebleeds? We'll find out on Wednesday. He gets reevaluated on Tuesday with that bone bruise in his knee. All right, let's move along to nugget number 3. I'm flying through the nuggets today, Mike. But there was one nugget I didn't get to yesterday. We had a 2-pack, had a 3-pack ready. There was an extra one left in the bag. We had to reheat it today, Mike. So I got to talk about Jerry Jones. I mean, he goes on the radio in Dallas, and he was just freaking out. I mean, if you're the Eagles looking at that, it's fantastic. No, there's nothing better than seeing the Cowboys just fail. And when he's asked about questions in the offseason, not difficult questions, I might add either. And he's saying he's going to essentially fire you. Mike, could you imagine Jerry Jones coming on telling you he's going to find someone to replace you, Mike, that there's someone else who's going to ask the questions for him because he was so upset with the questions that were asked about the decisions he has made.
Hey, listen, he puts himself into this, right? He's the one who wants to be on the radio. He's the one that wants these questions asked. And this is a sheer admittance of he knows he doesn't want to look in the mirror, so he's having a breakdown. Look, this whole Cowboys season has turned into a comical mess, and I'm all for it. I've signed up for it. I'm ready to go. I appreciate it. I've, for way too many years on this show, have given the Cowboys way too much credit in terms of, man, they should win the NFC East. Oh, they're better. And this team stinks, and I love it.
There is nothing better than seeing Jerry Jones free. I woke up to that. I was like, oh, wow. He's not having a good day. Well, Jerry, you could take yourself out of the GM role. You're getting up there in age. Maybe give it to someone who's been around the league now for a little while. It's a new league. You haven't won anything for 30 years. I mean, just give it up already. Your roster building hasn't been great. You built some teams in the regular season, but just give it up. Give someone else a shot at this point, Jerry.
No,
so you don't have to answer the questions every week.
No, don't give anybody else a shot. Keep them inept. Listen, we've said over the years, the Cowboys do a good job of drafting and finding talent. Micah Parsons, C.D. Lamb. They did a great job of finding guys back in the day like Zeke Elliott, Dak Prescott. He was a great find at the value where they found him. They found so many guys that they drafted on their own. The problem is they have no idea how to manage the cap and the rest of the roster. They never sign anybody of substance in free agency to help them out. They have no idea when to approach players to give them the raise that they deserve. And then they get stuck into this situation all the time where they have to overpay because they wait so long. It is the most dysfunctional front office, and I am all for it. And the best part is they've been winning 12 games and still underachieving. And now the delusional Cowboy fans don't even get the 12 wins to be delusioned. They now have to win about 9 games, maybe 8 games this year, and not even probably make the playoffs.
Yeah, it's so fantastic.
Although
to watch. It is fantastic to watch.
I will miss them potentially being in the playoffs, having the hope and getting it squashed by an inferior opponent.
Oh, isn't that
I will
the
miss
best?
that.
Isn't that the best, though? When they get to the postseason, there's a glimmer of hope. And it's been that way for the past couple seasons for the Cowboys. They get there. They're so close. And then it all comes crashing down. I love it. I look forward to the Stephen A videos, especially at the end of the season when they fail and they fall and it's a total nightmare. Are they going to fire Mike McCarthy? Is Dak Prescott the quarterback? Oh, there's nothing better than it. It's nothing better than it. Jerry could take our advice and be like, move on, give someone else a shot, but he won't do it. He's an egomaniac. He loves himself. He loves to hear himself talk. He's going to continue to make the decisions. It's going to be hysterical for the next couple of seasons again. So they have put themselves in a terrible position, and that's just the Cowboys being the Cowboys. That's America's team for you, Mike.
The best part about it that I know that they have lost their fan base and their relevancy is that generally this kind of conversation would flood my text board with Cowboy fans.
Yeah.
They have given up and they have gone.
Well, they had nothing to say.
They have given up and they have now, hey, first part of having a problem is admitting you have a problem.
Yes.
They have come to terms with this team is not very good.
No, they're not a good organization. They're poorly run. It's fantastic to watch from our perspective. Hopefully some Cowboy fans will text in. There's a few delusional ones still out there.
The only Cowboy fan so far that has texted in, and I give him credit, George in Egg Harbor City says, Mike, I'm a 38-year-old lifelong Cowboy fan, and I've been waiting for this. Our fan base are delusional idiots. Let it burn. All of it. George,
awesome.
You are the greatest Cowboys fan that I have ever met in my life.
That is my favorite Cowboys fan I've ever heard that's texted in, that we've communicated with ever. That's a smart Cowboys fan. I don't say that about any Cowboys fan, but that's a smart Cowboys fan.
Very good Cowboys fan. It's the only Cowboys fan I have ever heard who has admitted the truth.
Yeah,
it's not the referee's fault. The referees aren't against you, because I try to explain this to the people that I know who are Cowboys fans who try to blame the refs. I said, you do understand the NFL wants the Cowboys. They generate the highest ratings in football. Why would I want the team that generates the best ratings? Why would I want the refs against them? No, I want the refs for them, so that the ratings can continue to be. They had 24 million people watch them get their ass kicked on Sunday.
It's awesome. It's awesome from our perspective. We have one smart Cowboys fan out there. Maybe we help
George in Egg Harbor City, man. George, you are the winner. Best Cowboys fan out there.
There we go.
All right, there's Nick's Nuggets again for a Wednesday edition. He'll be back on Thursday with more Nuggets here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. All right, Nick, thanks, buddy.
All right, guys, see you tomorrow.
All right, Nick's Nuggets are brought to you by the Fanatic Sportsbook at the Gallery Bar Booking Games at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. He'll join us tomorrow at 4:30 here on the Sports Bash. We got plenty more to do on this show. John McMullen at 5:30 tonight. Eagles, Giants on the way. All that and more. It's all here. This hour of the show brought to you by Jersey Cow. Ice cream is a year-round thing at Jersey Cow in Northfield and Brigantine.
The playoffs continue on ESPN Radio.
It's a grand slam, Mark Vientos.
After getting blown out of Game 1, the Mets respond with a huge Game 2 win. Now the series shifts to New York for Games 3, 4, and 5. Game 3 of the Dodgers and Mets. Coverage begins today at 7:30 Eastern, with first pitch at 8 Eastern.
It's the NLCS. Dodgers, Mets, Game 3.
Brought to you by Shore Physicians Group. Be well connected. Visit shorephysiciansgroup.com.
No longer qualify for New Jersey family care? You may be eligible for quality, affordable health plans through Get Covered New Jersey that cover doctor visits, prescriptions, and more. 9 in 10 enrolling qualify for financial help. Learn more at getcovered.nj.gov.
Halloween's coming alive at Target. Jackie and Gordy the Jack-O-Lanterns here with a front porch view of Target's Halloween deals, like 20% off costumes with Target Circle. We're talking rock stars, witches, princesses.
Ooh, I think I'd look good with a cape.
I think so too, Gordy. Plus, hit the trick-or-treat jackpot with 20% off candy.
Now that's how you get porch traffic.
This week only, save 20% on costumes with Target Circle and 20% off candy. Make your Halloween come alive at Target. Restrictions apply.
Something good to know from First Bank of Sea Isle City. We have all of today's innovative banking products just like the big banks, but we offer something they can't. a personal community focus. Let's get you started with Bill Pay. You save time when you pay your bills online. It's fast, easy, and convenient. First Bank of Sea Isle City, a community bank that delivers more for you every day. Personal service, today's technology, from the people who truly care. Learn more at firstbankseaisle.com.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
It's time to review the top 3 highlights of the day. I'm joined as always by my co-anchor Snoop.
Hey, what up, Doe?
Snoop, number 1 has to be getting the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence at T-Mobile.
Yeah, you should hustle down at T-Mobile like a dog chasing a squirrel chasing a nut.
Nice analogy, Snoop. Dogs do love to chase squirrels.
And squirrels love to chase those nuts.
On to highlight number 2, at T-Mobile, families can save 20% every month versus the other big guys.
That is very impressive. You know, y'all can take some of those savings and buy some Snoop merchandise.
That's exactly what I'm planning on doing with my savings, Snoop. Now, take it away, Snoop.
Head to T-Mobile.com and get the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence on them. Now drop that jingle.
With 24 monthly bill credits, eligible trade-in on Go 5G Next. Well-qualified customers plus tax and $35 connection charge. Cancel entire account before receiving 24 bill credits, and credit stop and balance on required finance agreement too. Bill credits end if you pay off device early. See how you can save versus the other big guys at T-Mobile.com/switch. Apple Intelligence coming fall 2024.
With GMF financing, the qualified buyers excludes Traverse and Corvette excludes prior sales.
Need a car, truck, or SUV? Great! Get to Bennett Chevy, where you're going to get Bennett's best offers ever. You know Bennett sells new Chevys at the true GM supplier employee price, right? Well, right now, Bennett Chevrolet says, how'd you like to buy your new Chevy and pay $500 below the GM supplier employee price? Yes, $500 less than our employees. Plus, you keep all the rebates. That's up to 15% off the sticker. And with available 0% financing, you'll have incredibly low payments. And if you've got an old car to trade, right now you'll get a minimum $10,000 towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. That's at least $10,000 for total junk. Imagine how much we'll pay for good trades. And wait till you experience Bennett's non-commissioned sales team. Paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. So they'll make getting all these unbelievable deals even better. Together, let's drive. Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
What's better than 1 win? 3 wins. With Straight Savings, you keep your own phone, get 1 line for only $25 a month with real unlimited data, and get rewarded with a $200 phone credit after 12 months. It's a win-win-win. Head to Walmart or visit straighttalk.com today. Switch to Straight Talk. Less dollars, more sense. Straight Savings Plan enrollment requires compatible unlocked device and new line of service. Bonus device credit requires 12 months of active service. Offer ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. Taxes and fees apply. For network management practices, see Straight Talk's terms and conditions.
97.3 ESPN has teamed up with Seize the Deal for incredible weekly offers from some fantastic local restaurants. Here's this week's big deal.
Get a $50 gift card, good for use at the Ravioli House in Wildwood for just $25.
Get this great deal starting Friday at 9 a.m. at seizethedeal.com. Hurry, chances are this deal will sell quickly. For more info on this great deal, go to seizethedeal.com.
Seizethedeal.com. Shop the Sherwin-Williams Fall Sale and get 30% off paints and stains from October 11th through the 21st. With prices starting at $34.29, it's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your bedroom, living room, or home office, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, board-certified urologist and senior vice president of men's sexual health at HIMSS. In my 12 years of practice as a reproductive urologist, I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS. It really wasn't easy before. You had to take time out of your day, come to a physical office, and see a specialist like me in person. Now, through HIMSS.com, you can get world-class sexual health care and a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. It starts with a free assessment from a medical provider licensed in your state who can determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. So don't wait. Join the hundreds of thousands of guys who've gotten help for their ED through HIMSS.
To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% off brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
Tune in to the Bet365 Play of the Day during the Sports Bash with me, Mike Gill, every weekday afternoon at 5:45 on 97.3 ESPN. Made possible by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365.
Extravagant, luxurious, lavish. The $7 Lux Cravings Box from Taco Bell satisfies all your crunchiest, cheesiest, sauciest cravings. Indulge in a beefy 5-layer burrito, chicken chalupa supreme, Doritos Locos Taco, and chips and a drink for an unluxurious price. It's Lux for less. Get yours today at Taco Bell. At participating Taco Bell stores for a limited time only while supplies last. Price and participation vary. Drinks excludes freezers. Tax extra.
Get your holidays started with the perfect tree in your perfect style from the Home Depot. Whether you want something that you can assemble in a few clicks, steal the show with over 2,000 color-changing bulbs, or a tree with lights that can be controlled by remote or foot pedal. The Home Depot has it all in our huge assortment of premium trees. Plus, get free delivery on over 2 million items this holiday from the Home Depot. Subject to availability. See homedepot.com/delivery for details.
Cooper's our new neighbor down the shore.
Introducing Cooper University Hospital, Cape Regional.
Healthcare is going to improve in Cape May County.
We're excited to bring our award-winning care to our new neighbors in Cape May and Atlantic counties. You'll have greater access to top specialists, advanced technology, innovative treatments, and outstanding cancer care at MD Anderson Cancer Center at Cooper. Cooper University Healthcare. Together, we're doing something extraordinary for families down the shore.
Home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They got him again!
Sixers.
Bang! It's good! Ball game!
And Flyers.
Tipped in front of the net!
97.3 ESPN. WENJ. WENJ HD. Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio, here's Mike Gill.
Last night on 97.3 ESPN, Tim Saunders on the call. Of course, Matej Michkov gets his first 2 goals of his NHL career, both on the power play. First one was a little stuffy. They had to review it. And then the second one, just a blast, close, point-blank range, gets one by, and the Flyers go up 2-0 there, but they could not hold on. They lose 4-3 in overtime. But I'll tell you what, Michkov is making people take notice of the Flyers, and so far, he is living up to it. He is a young kid. There's a lot of pressure on this guy, but he scores 2 goals. He had an assist the other night. So it seems like you are getting the real deal. You are getting what was advertised. And that doesn't always happen. You get young guys, and you're waiting for them to see if they can prove it right off the bat. Everybody wants everything done now. And Michkov last night, I mean, you could just see the skill sets there. The skill set is there. He is a guy that you can get excited about. I think it's going to be hard-pressed for him to really, go through long, droughts. I think he's a guy that just knows where to be, has the skills, just has that feel. Like he's a guy that just has the feel. And fun to watch. I watched the game started at 10 o'clock last night. It was a rough start. I'm watching the game right when Judge hit the home run last night. Judge hit that homer last night, and that's when I bailed on that game and then went over to the Flyer game. And the Flyers, it was literally right when I flipped over to the Flyers is when the Michkov goal was being reviewed. And then I just kind of stuck there for a little bit because it was 6-2 Yankees at the time. And, and I saw him score again on the power play. I'm thinking, man, the Flyers not only scored on the power play once, they scored twice, and then they had another one. They had another power play, and then nothing went right there. Then after that, it was probably right at the first intermission is about when I tapped out, and I woke up this morning and saw they lost 4-3 in overtime. But Good stuff. It's good to see the Flyers have a guy that is relevant. They have a guy that you can get excited about. They have a guy who, look, they haven't had a quote-unquote sniper in my life. I mean, we have never seen them really have a guy who was – and I don't know that he's a quote-unquote sniper. He's not like a 50-goal scorer probably. Could be, don't know. But he does have skill set that makes you – he's just so smooth with what he does. And he always seems to be thinking a play or two or three ahead. They finished last on the power play in each of the last 2 seasons. And for them to get 2 last night in the first, 3 power plays, last season, their power play percentage was worst that they've ever had since it was first tracked back in 77 and 78. They ended the season last year. You want to know why they didn't make the playoffs? They went over 23 in their last 9 games on the power play. So to get 2 in a game early like that last night, and they scored, by the way, a power play goal in each of their first 2 games this season. So they got 1 out in Vancouver. They got 1 in Calgary. They got 2 last night. And it was the first time last night that they scored a power play goal in their first 3 games, going all the way back to the 2008-2009 season that they were able to do that. So, hey, there are some baby steps here, but it is good to see. And look, they're getting going here early. They are second, averaging 35.5 shots on goal over the first 2 games. So they're getting opportunities. They're putting the pucks on net, and it's a little bit of a different vibe around the team. By the way, 4 straight road games to start the season, and that's not doing them any favors. So it'll be good to see them back here on Saturday when they play Vancouver. They open the season in Philadelphia Saturday. A home opener, I should say. They've, of course, obviously opened the season, but their home opener will be on Saturday. And, Michkov is certainly I don't know if he's exceeded expectations or this is what you were hoping for, right?
This is what you were hoping for. You were hoping for a guy who, when he walks on the ice, he's a threat. And I do think he's capable of having a 50-goal season one day, because when you look at Flyers history, there are guys who had amazing scoring seasons who are actually less talented than he is. You go through Flyers history, guys like Brian Propp and John LeClaire, they had some amazing scoring seasons, right? Mark Recchi. But those guys don't have the dynamics.
Also a different game back then.
It was a different game back then, but the game is now more wide open now. It was more physical back then, and yeah, you did see some fighting last night. I'm not saying there's no fighting in the game.
Couple scraps.
Couple good scraps last night. But it's still, those scraps were more a byproduct of the flow of the game. They weren't just, meatheads banging into each other. So to me, I think that Michkov is going to play very well this year, but he's only going to get better. And when I talked to Kevin Durso about this, our Flyers insider, 973ESPN.com, Mike, Kevin always talks about, he said, what you see from Michkov this year, he says, is not even going to be his best. You're getting this is going to be a real rookie season for him. Not that he's going to play bad, but he's going to have moments like Bedard did his rookie year, where he's just not going to be up to speed at times, but he'll have moments where you're like, wow, there's the guy, like last night.
Yeah, listen, he's 19 years old. I would imagine that this isn't the best version of him you're going to get. You're going to see a guy that's going to be overwhelmed at times. You're going to see a guy who's probably worn down.
But the good thing is, unlike Bedard, Connor Bedard of the Blackhawks, Mike, Michkov has an NHL body at least coming in. Connor Bedard was really small, and there were concerns, and they were proven true about how, man, is this guy's body going to hold up to the NHL full season? He got hurt. Whereas Michkov, he's out there blocking shots, turning his body sideways off of his big legs.
609-403-0973. 609-403-0973. I guess one of the things I'm interested to see from the listeners out there, I know there's a lot of people who like hockey, are Flyers fans, but are you legitimately excited about what this year's team can do? Are you legitimately excited about what this year's team can be and how far we look? Hockey's one of those sports. If you get into the playoffs, you could be the 8th seed and go all the way. So are the Flyers one of those teams that you are legitimately excited about because they can grow as the season goes on and get better and better. I'll tell you what, you're watching the game last night. They're on the power play at one point. You got Michkov out there, Drysdale, who they got in that trade last year, kind of the centerpiece of that deal. And
the Cutter Gauthier deal.
Yeah, that was deal that kind of came out of right field, but he was hurt a lot last year, so you didn't get a chance to see him. Travis Konechny had a career high 33 goals last year. Sean Couturier, he missed all of last season. So now you have him back. You've got Owen Tippett, who, hey, listen, that trade has turned out to be a win for them. When you traded Claude Giroux, you weren't expecting really to get much back, I don't think, in return. You got a guy that has really turned into
Tippett has exceeded expectations.
No question about it. I think one of the big questions is the goaltending spot. Sam Ersson is, this team was in the playoffs last year from December the 4th all the way until basically the last week of the season.
Right.
So they were in a playoff spot from December 4th all the way until April 6th with 4 games left. They got eliminated with 4 games left. People forget, though, Carter Hart played a lot of those games that kind of put them into that position. When Ersson kind of got taken over the number 1 goaltending spot and they could not find, their backup situation was basically like Taiwan Walker pitching. Anybody who played backup goalie for them last year was a disaster. And when Ersson got moved to the number 1 spot and they had to lean on him more, it didn't, they started to fall apart a little bit.
They overplayed him. He's a very good goaltender, but
they overplayed him because their backup goaltending situation was
because their number 3 was the equivalent of putting you and me in goal almost.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So, but are they can Ersson play as much? I mean, more than he did he's going to have to. I mean, your backup goaltending situation is still not great.
Yeah, Fedotov did not look good in Calgary on Saturday night. And so the question is it because Calgary was playing with a lot of emotion because it was Johnny Gaudreau night? Was it because Fedotov is just not as good as we hoped he would be? I know that there's conversation about Kozlov, who's down at the at Lehigh Valley right now, right? Do they call him up in a couple months? So, yeah, the backup goaltender is definitely a huge concern for this team because, listen, Ersson's a good goaltender. There's no question about it. But in today's NHL, no one wins without a good backup goaltender.
Yeah, the days of the Marty Brodeurs or Dominic Hasek basically being out there for 72 of the 82 games, those days are kind of over. So you need to have 2 guys that you can really count on. And I don't even know that you can count on your first guy, let alone your second guy.
I think you can count on the first guy. I think that, the reason why I think a little bit, Mike, that maybe someone like yourself and others look at a guy like Ersson, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but you tell me. I feel like the thing is Ersson was not as publicized and as promoted and as known when he became the starter as when like a Carter Hart came to the organization, where he was like a very highly lauded prospect.
Well, I'll tell you, no, he was not. He just he was like, who's this guy who's backing up? He finished 47th among 54 goalies last year in save percentage, .890, not good. So those numbers are what stick out. Is this guy got a chance to play? He played in 30 games last year. That's second most. And you're saying .890, not good enough. So you've got to get more consistency from that spot. And that's why you kind of look at, are they good enough in that spot? That's a key spot, and you have to ask the question. Now, I will say, I think in these first couple games, he's played twice. Fedotov played the other day, but I think he has looked pretty solid. Now, I didn't see what happened last night late. They gave up 4 goals. It was 2-0, and all of a sudden they gave up 4.
Yeah, what happened is that in the third period, guys like Draisaitl and McDavid started putting on the pressure, and the Flyers did not rotate defensively.
By the way, I say he had an .890 save percentage. That was from January 21st through the end of the season, which is essentially when he played the 30 games because Hart went out. His save percentage was 3rd worst in the league, .875. So as he got more playing time, his save percentage actually got worse.
But we should also point out on the flip side that he's actually one of the best goaltenders in the NHL when it comes to shootouts. So,
well, unfortunately, 3 periods of the game.
No, but it's something it's important to bring up because it's pointing out that the issue with him isn't that he can't see the puck. The problem with him is that the defense in front of him isn't very good. It falls apart. And what happened for the last month and a half of the season? Remember, they traded away Sean Walker. They got a legitimate asset in return for a veteran defenseman who was an expiring contract. But guess what? You lost arguably your second best defenseman in front of the guy. So for the last month and change of the year, your defense basically was trash.
609-403-0973. Are you legitimately excited about the ceiling of this Flyers team? I got some text messages from earlier I want to get to. 609-403-0973. Mike, a possible talking point for the Phillies. How about rearranging 1 through 5 in the batting order with this current roster while figuring out trades and or free agency? I love these kind of emails, text messages, by the way. So he wants to go righty Turner, 2 lefty Schwarber or Harper, 3 Bohm, 4 lefty Schwarber or Harper, 5 righty Castellanos. Good luck figuring out who's batting 6, 7, 8, 9. Thompson has his righty, lefty, righty, lefty, righty top 5. Harper, the showman, has put this team first by giving up 3, and Schwarber, the ultimate team player, giving up leadoff. If Turner's on base as a threat to steal being held on, it opens up a big hole on the right side, yada, yada, all this stuff. All right, there's a lot there. 1, Turner, the Turner hitting in the leadoff spot is interesting, okay? Trey Turner has hit leadoff more in his career than any other spot in the lineup.
Right.
Now, you're talking about the text message talked about on base. This past year, his on base was 338. That is not leadoff great. So if you're talking about getting the guy to be on base as the leadoff man, Trey Turner is not your best option. So you're basically saying you don't want Schwarber to hit leadoff, is what
Right.
it seems like that guy's saying. Schwarber's on base percentage is 366. It's considerably better than Trey Turner's. And there becomes the conundrum. Your best on base guy is a guy that, like that guy's saying, I don't want to hit him leadoff, but he's got a 366 on base percentage. That would generally be the guy that you would say, take Turner, whatever you know about Turner, his looks, his speed, everything about him. And then just say, let me look at this team's roster. Let me look at their numbers. Who's the highest on base percentage? Schwarber.
Right.
So Schwarber is on base more. And you got Trey Turner hitting behind him with Bryce Harper. You're saying you want the guy who's on base less to hit leadoff. Now, I'm not anti-doing that because I said last year, if you're going to bring the same team back, you might have to consider changing the lineup. So my question would be, what about Bryce Harper? He's 373 on base, which is better than Schwarber. He's the only guy that's better than Schwarber. The question has been, does Harper want to hit number 3, or does he not care? Because he would be the obvious choice to be the leadoff guy moving forward. I think the best possibility is, hey, Harper, you're going to 1, and Schwarber, you're going to 3. Turner, you're staying at 2. So now you have Harper 1, Turner 2, Schwarber 3. Castellanos can hit 4, and then you got to figure out what to do behind that. Now, I don't even know. Listen, I'm not as sold on Castellanos as everybody else seems to be. But I'm okay if you want to tell me, give him the first shot to hit in the 4-hole. Okay, fine.
To me, I look at it as, first of all, you're right. Harper is the linchpin. Whatever he's comfortable with doing, the rest of the lineup's going to fall around that. But the other part is that I think the problem, Mike, is that people look at this Phillies team, and unless they win a world championship, they are going to nitpick the fact that if you're over the age of 35, you grew up in a world where the leadoff hitter looked more like Kenny Lofton than Kyle Schwarber. And Trey Turner is the closest guy that looks like that than anybody else. So from an aesthetic perspective, people, it's like buying a car, right? Is the best car for you the one that's the prettiest? Probably not. But if you're only going to go for aesthetic, you might not get the best vehicle, and you're going to spend a lot of money. Whereas if you're going to get the best vehicle, it's going to get you to and from work, drive your kids around, and be good on gas. It might not be the aesthetic that you want.
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem hitting Schwarber in the leadoff spot. This whole, the leadoff batter, blah, 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 blah. It happens one time. He comes up, he leads the game off, and then wherever you fall is where you fall. Bryson Stott, someone just texted in about him. I actually think they should give opportunity to Stott next year. He sees a lot of pitches, makes good contact, excellent base runner. On base percentage for Bryson Stott, even in a good year last year, was .329. The other problem with Bryson Stott is he hits left-handed.
Correct.
So now, if you have Stott hitting leadoff, I'll play along, okay? I'll play along with that. He hits leadoff. Now you've got Schwarber and Harper still that have to bat somewhere in that upper part of the lineup. Now you have three lefties hitting in the top part of that lineup, and that's what the problem becomes with the three left-handers again. You have Stott hitting leadoff. I would imagine Turner's 2, Harper's 3. I guess you're moving Schwarber now down to 5.
And the problem moving him down to 5 is now you're taking a guy who has back-to-back years, 100 RBI, and pushing him down the lineup. Is that the best move for this team?
Right. I mean, you're now saying, hey, we got to put now Schwarber in the middle of the lineup. Okay, 5 is technically you're still in the middle of the lineup. 3, 4, 5 is kind of your middle, but now you're kind of pushing him where he doesn't bat in the first inning. If you go 1, 2, 3 in the first inning, now you've got a spot where, I don't love Stott hitting in that leadoff spot. It just doesn't. I mean, his on-base percentage is too low. His strikeouts this year were too high. Sees a lot of pitches. He's just not getting on base enough.
Right.
And that's even in his best year. He hit 280 last year. Good batting average. 280 is a solid batting average. Only on base, though, 329, which means not walking enough. So you could say he sees a lot of pitches. He's only walked last year 39 times. Even this year, he walked 53 times this year, and his on-base percentage was actually lower than last year. He's not walking nearly enough. Now, you might say if he's hitting leadoff, maybe he walks more. Okay, we're taking a flyer on that.
Yeah, and I think the other issue is, even if you have Stott at the top of the lineup, again, if you're moving guys down, right? What does that mean for Castellanos, Real Muto, Bohm? Bohm had an amazing first half of the year. I know he got injured, hit on the hand, and he had a rough end of this season, and that's the last thing people remember. But this dude was on a torrid pace as a RBI guy and as a double machine. If he gets back to that guy, and then you bury him down the lineup, how does that impact the team?
Well, Bohm would be a guy I would consider in the 2 hole if I hit Turner in the 1 spot. But if Turner hit 1, then you can possibly see the problem is you can't use. You're back in the same situation.
Right.
You hit Turner 1, and you hit what? Stott 2.
And then Harper.
But then you
3.
have Harper, and then you're thinking about Harper and Stott, lefty back to back, possibly Schwarber. You would want, so I think Turner makes it's clunky there unless I hit Bohm in the 2 hole. So then I went Turner, Bohm, Harper, and it goes back to the same problem of Schwarber is now the thing that makes the most sense, in my opinion, is just flip-flopping Harper and Schwarber. The leadoff guy gets the most at-bats on the team. You have to have one of those guys be that guy, the guy who's going to get up more times. It's not about who's the fast guy, who steals the bases. Those days are over. You want the guy who gets the most at-bats, the leadoff hitter. That's why Ohtani bats leadoff. He does steal a lot of bases, Ohtani. But he bats leadoff because he hits 50 home runs. He bats leadoff because he gets the most at-bats on the team. The leadoff guy bats more than everybody else. So the Phillies should really be saying, do we want Bryce Harper getting those extra at-bats, or do we want Kyle Schwarber getting those extra at-bats? You're not wrong by saying either one, but they are seemingly the 2 guys that you should be debating over. Do I want Harper to get the extra at-bats for hitting in the leadoff spot, or do I want Schwarber getting those? Those, to me, are the 2. When Ruben Amaro Jr. at the end of the season said, the Phillies they're a dangerous lineup. It's not a good hitting team. They got dangerous hitters, not good hitters.
Right.
So who are your most dangerous hitters? They're Harper and they're Schwarber. They're
Absolutely.
the 2 most dangerous guys you got. On base percentage on this team, Harper's 1, Schwarber's 2, and then the drop-off is 30 points less for Trey Turner. I mean, that's a huge dip. I mean, you're going from Harper 373, Schwarber 366. The next guy is 338 and Trey Turner. No, that's this year. It's not lifetime, but even lifetime, I would imagine Bryce Harper is probably better than 373. So that's where the drop is such a big problem for when you're looking at leadoff spot here. They don't have a great option outside of, in my opinion, Harper would be the guy. Now, the question becomes, does Harper want to bat in the leadoff spot? Or is he a guy who just says, no, I don't really want to do that? But just to give you some insight, Nick Castellanos played every single game, 162. He had 606 at-bats. Kyle Schwarber played in 150 games, and he had more plate appearances than Castellanos did. Why? Because he hit number one in the order. So Schwarber, even though he played 12 less games, still had more plate appearances than Castellanos did. Your goal is to get your better players more plate appearances.
Really quick. So Harper has a career 389 on base percentage. Better than you thought. Turner.
No, wait. Harper 389. No, I figured he was better than. I said this year his on base percentage is lower than his career number.
Right, but you mentioned 378. It's actually 389.
No, I said 373 was his on base percentage this year, but I would have to imagine that's not better than his career on base percentage.
Right, his career is 389.
Yeah, no, I'm saying that
Turner's career on base percentage is 348,
which is better than this year's on base percentage, but still
that's 20
points off of Schwarber's for this season. So even in his, Turner's career on base percentage is 20 points off of what Schwarber gave you this year.
Right. So it goes back to the aesthetic. It's not that Turner's the better leadoff hitter. It's the optics of him being the leadoff hitter.
Yeah, listen, the Schwarber thing is simply because for most people out there, in their mind, the leadoff guy is fast, he runs fast, all that stuff. And that's not what Schwarber is. Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. Keep your text messages coming. We'll continue to break it down with this here all off season. I'm sure the Phillies are going to be a big topic all off season long here on the Sports Bash Live ESPN. What's the latest on this Eagles-Giants matchup? Is the injury report just been released? Which key Eagle is on that injury report? We'll talk about that and the impact on Sunday. That's coming up with John McMullen from Birds 365 next on the Sports Bash.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Never thought this radio stuff would catch on so big.
On 97.3 ESPN.
Hey, it's Mike Gill. My friend Rocco over Key Actor Athletics. What will Steve Giovanni do with sales team? He has areas for many years. We'll let you know all his previous clients and new ones. Now, October 31st, he can get you into new 2025 Acura Integra for just $279 a month with $49.95 down. Visit him at Key Acura on Atlantic City, Silk Road, DHP. Online, KeyAcuraAtlanticCity.com. Look for details.
Halloween's coming alive at Target. Jackie and Gordy, the Jack-o'-lanterns, do with a front view of Target's Halloween deals, like 20% off costumes with Target Circle. We're talking rock stars, witches, princesses.
Ooh, I think I'd look good.
I think so too, Gordy. Plus, get the trick-or-treat jackpot with 20% off candy.
Now that's how you get porch traffic.
This week only, save 20% on costumes with Target Circle and 20% off candy. Make your Halloween come alive at Target. Restrictions apply.
Hey, if you have ugly yellow toe fungus, you got to hear about the secret 2-minute trick that I found for my husband. It works from both the inside and the outside. Thousands of people are using it to get rid of their toe fungus. You can check it out at crystalflush.com. Jake started off with a small spot on his big toe, and then it spread and got really bad. His toes were nasty. It was so embarrassing. He was afraid to take his socks off. He hid his yellow and crumbly toes from everyone. He tried everything to get rid of it. Nothing helped. And then we found crystalflush.com. It was the only thing that worked. In just a few weeks, his toes looked amazing. He's now walking around barefoot again. You guys need to try this. I'm telling you, this stuff is different. It's not sold in stores, but go check it out at crystalflush.com. They'll They'll even let you try it risk-free so you have nothing to lose. But whatever you do, don't let it get worse. You don't have to live with this anymore. Go check it out now. Just click over to crystalflush.com.
We're going abroad for the first time in years to Spain. So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast. With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas? When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up. I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code MOON5 to get up to a $5 bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code MOON5 to get up to a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's code MOON5 to get up to a $5 bonus on your first tank.
Order for Jennifer C.
Is this my double shot, double cream, double froth, double pump, double hot, double whip, double sleeve?
Yeah. Can you handle that much caffeine?
Did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Well, I do now.
Seriously, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, you just said that.
Did you say I just said that?
Yeah, I'm cutting you off.
Did you say you're cutting me off?
You earn We Match. Unlimited cash back match. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network. Progressive Insurance presents the Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN. NBA Sixers forward Paul George has a bone bruise in his left knee. Suffered that injury Monday in a preseason game against the Atlanta Hawks. He'll be evaluated next week. Philadelphia hosting Brooklyn tonight with 2 more exhibition games remaining before the regular season opener next week against Milwaukee. NFL, the Eagles head to MetLife Stadium Sunday to take on the Giants, an NFC East matchup. Philadelphia 3-2, coming off their home win against Cleveland. The Giants are 2-4, and New York is only averaging 16 points per game. The Eagles have won 5 of the last 6 meetings in this divisional rivalry. Catch all the action starting at noon Sunday right here on 97.3 ESPN. NHL, the Flyers in Seattle Thursday night, wrapping up their 4-game road trip to start the season. Tuesday night, they fell to Edmonton 4-3 in overtime. 97.3 ESPN will have that game for you immediately following our coverage of Thursday Night Football. I'm Tony Desiri, and that's your Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN.
Earn entries for your chance to be one of the lucky winners of a complete his or hers YSL collection, now through October 26th. Show your timeless sophistication during the YSL collection drawing, only at Borgata. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. There's a storm system brewing off the North Carolina coast this evening. As it passes by tomorrow, it could spit a few raindrops our way, immediate coast only. I think west of the Parkway should stay high and dry yet again. It's going to be cold tonight, clear skies, low of 40. Lots of sunshine tomorrow with some clouds and a slight chance of a shower near the coast, high 61. Sunshine and warming up Friday, high 67. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
New Jersey is the Garden State. But did you know that one of the most important things we can farm is wind? Offshore wind provides clean, renewable energy. It creates jobs and drives economic growth. In fact, it's estimated that a single wind farm can create over 4,000 jobs and add more than $700 million to the state's economy. Offshore wind, propelling New Jersey's future. To learn more, visit nj.gov/offshore wind.
We have the perfect solution for sitting in traffic.
You come with me.
The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
I feel like a very concentrated offense. We do some good things. We have all the stability, but we have yet to prove, that we can hit on all cylinders. So it's definitely something's going to be on our mind, moving forward. That's something we got to fix. impressive starting fast. We haven't done that in 2 years, so it feels in the back.
We haven't done that for 2 years, said Lane Johnson. Is he becoming frustrated with the aesthetics of the offense? We'll talk to John McMullen from Bird 365 on the Jacob Media YouTube channel. Weekday mornings at 8 a.m. as he joins us now. We haven't done it for 2 years, John. Kind of something that caught my ear. Yeah, the constipated part, everybody kind of grabbed onto that. But here's Lane Johnson saying, we have not been very good for 2 years. Is this offense becoming frustrated with who they are and what their identity?
Yeah, a little bit. I think certainly if you listen to Lane, and I was there talking to Lane today, and I think the far more important part of his comments today, which I'll be writing about at some point later this week, and hopefully others picked up on it, is he was talking about how late the team gets up to the line of scrimmage. And they were near the bottom of the league, and that was one of the points of emphasis during the bye week. In other words, they're getting up. They're far too late as the play clock winds down, and that has a number of effects. One, you don't have time to maybe get out of bad plays into good plays, or vice versa. The defense can sort of time the snap because they see the play clock themselves and they know it's coming. So that was a point of emphasis. Just got done talking to Jalen Harris, was mentioned off a little bit more late, typically very honest, so that's been a big issue. But and then to the point of the clip you just played, he mentioned expectations as far as expectations, and I think that's been the story of this team for a year plus. The expectations are so high. I don't know if it's possible to live up to them. And I think everybody gets frustrated. And he mentioned those expectations a couple times today.
Yeah, it seems that he really, well, I would say he realized he is seeing a lot of things. We got weapons all over. Why are we not reaching those expectations? And when you see internal frustration, is that coaching or is that, man, we have the talent and we're not getting it?
Well, I think part of it is that you have the talent when everybody's out there together, but everybody hasn't been out there together, number one. And that's going to continue. It's pretty evident here. Mailata's not going to play this week, and it's pretty evident Dallas Goedert's not going to play this week as well. So all of a sudden you go from, all right, no AJ, and then you go, no AJ, no Devontae, no Lane, and you get them back, and now all of a sudden it's going to be no Jordan, no Dallas. And, they haven't had their guys together, and all of a sudden when you saw obviously the big emphasis with, guys like Jahan Dodson, Paris Campbell trying to fill in. All right, that's not significant talent anymore. You'll see Fred Johnson most likely at left tackle on Sunday, and Frank Alcantara and Jack Stoll at tight end. That's not significant talent. So, you can't just assume you should play at the same level, but I think the expectations remain. And, there's still a top 10 offense through it all.
Yeah, and I wonder, like 6 weeks in, or I guess we're going for them, either 16, week number 7, is it fair to judge what this offense is, or is it an evolving offense? Is there a ceiling? Is there more growth, or is this who they are? As Lane said, we've been.
I think there's plenty of room to grow for growth if you get everybody healthy, if you get everybody at some point off the field together for a long stretch of games. I think it's going to be a very difficult one. I haven't been able to do that yet. Maybe they'll never. Maybe it's one of those years and they're never able to do it. But I do think if the 11 starters that everyone projects and thinks about when they talk about talent, I think if they're able to get together and, as I said, grow as a group. Then you could have some, they should be top 5 offense, somewhere in that range. So I haven't been there, and they get there. Um, if they do,
Well,
I think things will get better.
yeah, I know Dallas Goedert hamstring, Jordan Mailata hamstring. Both will be out. Mailata, we know, multiple weeks. What does that do to this offense? And what are the replacements there? Do we have any, Mailata? We have Fred Johnson. Do you go with Becton? What makes them better there? And Dallas Goedert, we knew coming in, he's not going to play. It's almost like losing Brown and Smith at the receiver.
Yeah, it is. And, Grant did a nice job filling in last week. Dallas, went out on the third play. So while he started the game, he was only in there for 3 plays. And I was the 3 and out to start. And he hurt his hamstring on that third down play. So, and that was a career best game from Grant Calcaterra, which you haven't seen much from. So, hey, maybe there's an inkling of hope, but certainly he's not going to be Dallas Goedert. I mean, obviously. So I think Dexter Lawrence is complicating things as far as the offensive line. They don't want to throw Tyler Steen to the wolves there. And it looks like Fred Johnson's going to start at left tackle, and they're going to keep Mekhi Becton inside. I don't know if that's for this week only because of Dexter Lawrence, but that certainly seems the way they're thinking. Maybe it changes. And if Jordan's only going to be out for 2 weeks, it's probably not going to change, and they're probably going to try to persevere with Fred Johnson at left tackle. If it's longer than that, they may eventually think about making the move, but they want Mekhi Becton to deal with Dexter Lawrence this week. And obviously Landon Dickerson's going to be a big part of it, Cam Jurgens, the whole group, the whole interior group. But, that's, for those who don't know, that's the best defensive tackle in football. And he's having, if it were a good team, and it's not, a defensive player of the year type season early, but still he's that impactful. And they're concerned about him, and I don't think they're going to move Mekhi Becton this week.
By the way, speaking of Dexter Lawrence, he and Brian Burns, DNPs today at practice. Neither one of them participated. One with a hip, one with a groin. Andrew Thomas is out for the year. Liz Frank injury with the foot there. So they got all sorts of injuries there. Malik Neighbors back at practice, but in the red jersey, so he's not quite cleared yet. Concussion. Devin Singletary limited with a groin. Darius Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson. This is a banged-up Giants team right now.
Yeah, same thing with the Cleveland last week. I mean, a lot of people are disappointed about the Eagles' injuries. Look at the opponent in Cleveland, same thing with all the injuries they had. And now the Giants, you brought the litany. Now, from all indications, I think they're trying to manage Dexter Lawrence and Brian Burns specifically through the week, and they're expected to play. Certainly the Eagles are approaching it like that. I would think Neighbors is going to be back, but, the concussion protocol is what it is. And it's not consistent from player to player or team to team or injury to injury. So he's already been out 2 weeks. Typically, you're going to be back. Certainly somebody like him who doesn't have a long history of concussions, but can't say 100% until he's out of the protocol. And then as a whole, I mean, they're all very similar to the last week. Pretty good defense, even without Kayvon Thibodeau. They got some playmakers, got a really good player up front, really good pass rusher, really good linebacker in Bobby Okereke. So they have some players on defense, but the offense is so bad. You think you should be pretty comfortable in the fact that, probably the most relaxed guy at the NovaCare complex over the past 2 weeks is Vic Fangio, because there's not a lot of explosion and the past two offenses he's had to game plan for.
Yeah, and a lot of it, their defense last week seemingly played well. Do we feel that they're making strides?
Yeah, I think they're making strides, and I think, I don't know how much you learn from shutting down the Cleveland Browns, but I think it gives you confidence at the bare minimum. It is an NFL team, and same thing will happen this week, but the Giants, it's not, nobody's scared of that offense. So in some ways it's expected that you play pretty well. And if you do, I'll probably be saying the same thing. I don't know how much you learn. I don't think that means you're going to stop the Detroit Lions if you have to play them down the road, but there's nothing wrong because at the bare minimum, it gives a lot of young players a lot of confidence.
John McMullen, Birds 365, weekday mornings, 8 a.m. on the Jacob Media YouTube channel. We talked a lot this morning on your show about this Eagles offense and the way that it looks, about what they can do, what they're not doing. Is there more that with the talent they have on their roster that they can do? A lot of people suggesting that, hey, this is what the quarterback wants to do, and is that what's holding this offense back? Or do we think it's more the injuries that has been the problem? The lack of fluidity is from the lack of continuity.
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. Except I would take exception with the word "wants." I don't think it's necessarily what Jalen Hurts wants to do. I think it's the coaches trying to make him as comfortable as possible, while at the same time trying to evolve some of the things he's not as comfortable with. And that's been sort of an ongoing process between multiple coaches and multiple coordinators. But they all seem to land in the same place. And that's why I think the common denominator is they're trying to build an offense around what Jalen Hurts is comfortable with and does well. And you always want quarterbacks as they get older to expand from that sort of default DNA setting and improve their game in other areas and maybe get a more well-rounded finished product. And I think that's what the Eagles are constantly striving for, whether it's Nick Sirianni or Shane Steichen or Brian Johnson or now Kellen Moore. And it's always a work in progress. But, yeah, I think for those trying to say, is it Kellen's offense? Is Kellen the play caller? Is it Nick's offense? Is Nick's play caller? It's Jalen Hurts. It's Jalen Hurts. That's why the offense looks the way it looks. Well, and by the way, that's not necessarily a bad thing because, and everybody takes that negatively, and that's on them because the greatest stretch of Eagles history was with this offense and this quarterback.
Yeah, and I guess the question and follow-up then I would have is, teams evolve to what you do well. Are the Eagles evolving to teams making the adjustments to them?
Well, not yet. They haven't been able to. They haven't. They punched and they had a big time 31 whatever it was and 7 punch and knocked a lot of the league around and to the canvas, to use the boxing analogy, and then they got up and all of a sudden here's the counter punch. And now the Eagles are a little bit staggered trying to figure it out. And, yeah, that's what they're trying to do right now. They're trying to make an adjustment. But that doesn't mean change your entire offense. That means build on what you do well and, figure out the holes in the dam, so to speak, and patch them up. It's not, this didn't work, so let's try traditional play action, put the quarterback under center. That's if you want to do that, you can do that, but then you should hire a coach who runs that type of scheme. They get a Shanahan or a Kubiak and get a traditional play action quarterback. You don't do that. And by the way, Kyle Shanahan and whoever you want to point to, Matt LaFleur, Sean McVay, any of the coaches from that tree, they wouldn't run the offenses they run if their quarterback was Jalen Hurts.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of strides they make this week offensively. You got no Jordan Mailata now, so that's and Dallas Goedert, so that dampens that as well. So we'll see what they end up coming up. It should be an interesting Saquon Barkley week. This is always the Boston Scott week. Will they now shift that over to the Saquon Barkley week? We'll dive into that a little bit later on in the week. John McMullen, Birds 365, tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. on the Jacob Media YouTube channel, and make sure you check out all his Eagles coverage at Sports Illustrated as well. All right, John, appreciate it as always, pal.
All right, thanks, Mike.
John on a little later tonight because the Eagles practice times are messing up our radio show. Come on, Eagles. We have a good thing going here. We appreciate if you would get back to your old practice times for us here so the Sports Bash can run like a well-oiled machine. Hey, John's brought to you by Boardwalk Honda. Shop their lineup of new pre-owned and certified pre-owned Hondas online at boardwalkhonda.com. When we come back, first, Bet365. John's show is Birds 365. I got the Bet 365 play of the day, and it's next.
The playoffs continue on ESPN Radio.
It's a grand slam, Mark Vientos.
After getting blown out of Game 1, the Mets respond with a huge Game 2 win. Now the series shifts to New York for Games 3, 4, and 5. Game 3 of the Dodgers and Mets. Coverage begins today at 7:30 Eastern, with first pitch at 8 Eastern.
It's the NLCS. Dodgers, Mets, Green.
Go to get your game on at the Gallery Bar Booking Games at Ocean Casino Resort. Cheer your favorite drink while cheering on your favorite team. Get in on the parlay while in the middle of a party. Go for the sports team and go for the endless screen. Go to the gallery. Go to the Fanatic Sportsbook. Go for the win at Ocean Casino Resort. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. 21 or older wager will consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hey there, you and I'll too. I see by the fiber accident. Still use those manager consultation with okay. If your symptoms keep coming back, you may have irritable bowel syndrome with constipation or IBS-C. So you may need more than over-the-counter treatment to manage it. Ask your doctor about how Linzess can help you get ahead of it.
Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and help relieve overall abdominal symptoms. Pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINCESS.
Time this year for killer teams. You have your eye on some new wheels. You want to pay off your loan or lease and tell your old car to rust in peace.
With any trade.
Mad Black Kid.
Matt Black Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and on Route 37 in Toms River.
The time for holiday hosting is upon us, so make your second bathroom second to none with HomeDepot.com's best savings of the season. Right now, enjoy up to 40% off select online bath. Find the latest on-trend styles of vanities, faucets, showers, tubs, toilets, and more. All at prices that will let your budget relax, right along with you and your beautifully renovated bath. Get up to 40% off select online bath plus free delivery at the Home Depot. Subject to availability, see HomeDepot.com/delivery for details.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's, the official sports bar of your Philadelphia Eagles. Make a selection from our seasonal food menu, then unwind with one of our sensational cocktails. The South Philly Sizzle, made with Bird Gang Habanero Tequila. Stateside Pumpkin Pie featuring stateside vodka, rum chata, and pumpkin puree. Delicious fiery sangria, tasty spiced apple punch, or the Campfire Mule at participating locations for a limited time. The official sports bar of your Philadelphia Eagles, Chickies and Pete's. Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's, the official sports bar of your Philadelphia Eagles. We're teaming up with Eagles wide receiver A.J. Brown for a new wing flavor this football season. A.J. Brown's Sweet Heat Wings. We combine the sweet and spicy flavors AJ loves, plus a portion of the proceeds benefit the AJ Brown Foundation and its focus on empowering underprivileged youth. At participating locations for a limited time, the official sports bar of your Philadelphia Eagles, Chickies and Pete's.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill
Do I have everybody's attention now?
on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
All right, get ready to get out of here. Top of the 365 play of the day and give us the update on the standing. Wonky one last night, but I think I got to win.
Torres got the hit in the first inning.
3 hits last night.
He covered more than
All right, so we'll get you another one tonight. How about it? I got a football game, college football. You into this one there tonight? Got FIU in action against UTEP versus Texas El Paso. FIU -7 is the number. They are a 7-point road favorite tonight. First time since 2019 that Florida International is a road favorite. They are 0-10 against the spread since 2019 as a favorite in this spot. I'm going to go UTEP tonight against Florida International. -7 number at 365 play. Oh, yeah.
more move out of the stadium. Against
On the road, 0-10 since October 2019 as a favorite in this spot right now.
money only counts for
That's all right. That's it for me. Hey, don't forget, get the wings over at Nizam's Indian Restaurant because you get the free tandoori spicy chicken wings this week because the Eagles won. You go in there, you get that 7 days a week, 11:30 to 9:30. Special lunch buffet Friday, Saturday, Sunday from 11:30 to 3. But go in there on an Eagles win week this week and get those free tandoori spicy chicken wings. You're probably looking for something to do for dinner right now. So check it out. I'm Mike Gill. This has been the Sports Bash.
It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey.